Welcome to the Smark Foundation podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Adam.
Oh, hi, Marks.
And we are here to cover the best of AEW and WWE for the last week. Um, got kind of a rather long show. Don't we have like a collision to cover right at the
Yeah, we have
beginning?
two collisions to cover.
Oh
It's
yeah, we have.
weird.
Yeah, it's
It's
weird.
very
So
strange. I'm going on first, and it's very odd.
it
It's very odd
it
feeling
is.
that knowing that I have to do this. It's kind of. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little nervous. I'm not used to going on first. But it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be cool, and especially since like most weeks these days, these most weeks these days is a weird way to put it, but like most of the time that we've been doing this podcast, we continue to eat at the, I don't know what was it, Golden Corral of wrestling. I
Right?
guess we just get a little bit of everything. We're all you can eat, and we're well fed.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah. But that being said, at least the first collision was only an hour. So I'll try and get through that really quick. So our lockup is going to be pretty quick. But yeah, it's been a long show, and we've got some great stuff to talk about at the end of the show for Calling in the Ring. Something I think that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people too. So I'm kind of really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, me too.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so I unless there's anything else you wanted to get to
No,
really
let's
really
get into
quickly,
your
I guess
lockup.
maybe it's the second week in a row where we have a really short open and we go right into the
Yeah,
lockup.
let's get into it.
All right, lockup time it is. All right, so Slam Dunk Sunday, AEW Collision from Omaha, Nebraska. It was clear that this was filmed, in two parts. They filmed Collision after Dynamite, and then they did one episode of 1 hour Collision to be shown after the basketball game on Saturday, and another one to do it on Sunday. This is the Sunday one. Started out, and just like the first one, the first Collision Slam Dunk Saturday, this one also started out with the title match. Kicked things off hot. The Death Riders defend their World Trios title against Top Flight and AR Fox. I love AR Fox. I've said that a bunch of times. It's no secret to anybody. It's good to see him back on TV with regularity. Um, and with Top Flight, it's a natural fit. They did make a mention of how they were aligned, and I had forgotten about this, but those three had actually won a battle royal in 2022 with like $100,000 on the line or something like
Yeah,
that.
$300,000
And
battle
when they
royal.
first brought Fox in, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I remember that. Holy cow, AR Fox has been with the company for 3 years, like, or 2.5 or whatever it was. It like really just struck me just how quickly time has gone by,
Yeah.
and how long he's been with the company, and how little they've actually used him, which is, considering how talented that guy is and how influential, kind of under the radar, that he's been on independent wrestling for the past 2 decades. It's kind of eye opening, really. But
Yeah.
there was lots of good stuff here. I mean, I love trios matches. They've become one of AEW's calling cards. Um, Fox is here to kind of take the pin, though. Like, I mean, as much as Top Flight have been losing lately, they're still kind of protected after a fashion. Like, they're still AEW originals. They're still like, it was very clear when a couple of times when Dante was injured that they were really like, hey, we see something in this uh, uh, Darius kid, Martin kid. And I mean, every time he's in there, he impresses. Uh, but the story of the match eventually became the Death Riders took out Top Flight on the outside, and AR Fox was isolated. And, he was getting big chants throughout the entire match. I was so happy for him. But, like, he tried to fight from underneath, and he fended off for like 30 seconds, all three guys at the same time. But eventually, everybody got their stuff in. Tombstone by Pac, and then the fastball special from Claudio and Wheeler do it in, and they get the 3 from there. After that though is where the real kind of story happens, because like this was a random title match. There was no story to this really in terms of why those 3 in particular got the match. But afterwards, Crew, I don't it's not they keep calling them the Crew, but it's very clearly that they only want it to be called Crew.
Mm-hmm.
By their vignettes and stuff like that. But Action Andretti and Leo Rush jump in there and they just like they choke them out with their chains. After the match, it was like, ooh, that's a little personal there. Like, dang, you already beat them in a tag team match. Why are you still beefing?
Yeah, like why is this still
It's like
happening?
if Top Flight is still mad, I get that, but why is Crew still beefing? I don't understand that. Must be more personal than even we realize, or maybe they're just, whiny.
Maybe.
In in any case, we get a little promo for the Undisputed Kingdom versus FTR, setting up their rematch. Uh, then it's Johnny TV versus Bandito. This could have been longer. I really wish it was, because anytime you get Johnny TV / Mundo / Nitro / Morrison / whatever on the screen, you're bound to see something weird. And like, he does his capoeira and stuff like that. He always comes off weird angles. He always has great matches with luchadores like Bandito. Like these
Yeah.
guys are, and that dude is kind of thick now. Like he's not like the svelte, skinny ripped guy that he was in WWE. He's gotten a little, I wouldn't say paunchier because he still has abs, but he's a lot thicker now
Yeah.
because he's getting older, and that's what happens. And when you're not on TV, you have more time to be in the gym, I guess.
Yeah.
And but he's still like, he looked solid, and Bandito still did the one arm thing over his head and that's all. That's always impressive. Like, that guy does not look big enough to be able to do that. I don't care that he starts out with 2 hands and then switches to 1 for a few seconds. That's impressive, because
Yeah.
that guy does not look like he should be doing those moves on anybody. So it's great. He wins predictably with the 21 plex, but I really wish that this was like there was a commercial break in the middle of it, but it seemed like it was like half the match was taken up by the part we didn't see. Like, if you go on Max, you're not getting the picture in picture, so you're not seeing it. Like, maybe I should just go back to Triller,
Mm-hmm.
so I can see the whole match or whatever. But I feel like I missed half of the match because it only was a little bit in, and then it went to commercial, and then came back from commercial, and it was a little bit in, and then it was done.
Yeah.
So
Didn't this one have 2
after the
commercial
match,
breaks? One of these matches had 2 commercial breaks in it, and I was like,
I think it
was
was the
this
main
it?
event. No, it wasn't on this show. It was on this. It was on. No,
Maybe.
it was on this yesterday's collision.
Yesterday's collision. Okay.
It was
Okay.
on yesterday's collision, and we'll get to that match, because that match was definitely deserving of being in the main event. But we'll get to that in due time.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree are here after Bandito calls him out and demands he bring his mask. Long story short, they kind of beat him up a little bit verbally, and then Chris Jericho puts on the mask and they rough him up, but Bandito kind of escapes all of them and manages to get his brother Gravity's mask off of Chris Jericho's face and run to the back with it. So, they tied up that loose end there. That was good. Babyface got one up on the heel. That's good. Good storylines should have back and forth. It shouldn't be one person dominating the other the entire time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. Ultimately, if that was the plan, I don't think you could really ask for better than how it got executed. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Totally. Um, we finally hear Megan Bain speak via via an overlay on a video package, a voiceover. She sounds like a normal person, not like a Greek goddess. Kind of disappointed.
Right.
But I mean, she looks awesome though, so who cares? And then Tony is here, and she cuts a promo, and it's timeless, and like, just go watch it. Nothing that I can say about Tony Storm's promos is anything that I should be repeating more often than not, and B, is gonna do justice to what she says. Just go watch her. She's mesmerizing. Like, if I were to bring somebody in to wrestling right now in this moment, and they're asking what's so special about pro wrestling, I would show them Toni Storm.
Yeah,
because she's everything. Harley Cameron versus local talent, Anna Belmont. Harley looks more dominant in this match than she ever has in any of her matches ever, because it's a squash match against the local talent. So of course she's gonna look good. But that's a key change there though. Like, this is the first time where she's actually looked confident enough where it's like, okay, yes, she should be dominating this match. Like, even when she was doing, kind of the quick jobs to hire up people on the ladder, she was still getting some stuff in, but it was like, I don't know. There's a difference. I can't really explain it. Like, a switch is being flipped right now, and she looks like she's getting comfortable in there in this role, and she hits her with her finishing move, which will never not get a pop from me.
Right.
Don Callis is getting interviewed in the hallway, and you think it's just going to be him just doing, he's cutting a promo basically on, rebounding with the family, and then all of a sudden Kyle Fletcher appears. Didn't expect him there. He's just backstage earning a paycheck for not having a match and just looking like a weirdo dressed like a weirdo. But he basically says that, it doesn't matter that he lost to Ospreay, because eventually people are going to recognize him as the best in the world, something along those lines. Nothing groundbreaking. I know I keep saying that about stuff, but it doesn't need to be. It's good to see that he isn't injured. That's all I really cared about, because both he and Ospreay took hellacious bumps, and they've been giving Ospreay time off. So it's good to see that Kyle is not hurt, at least, in a major way.
Yeah.
And the main event was Hologram Commander, now known as Los Titanes del Aire, versus La Facción Ingobernable, the Beast Mortos, and Dralistico. Don't really know where Roosh has been the past several weeks. Did he get in trouble again? Is he having visa issues? I don't know. Don't care though, because this match was awesome. This was like everything you want in lucha. You want everybody with masks, everybody doing a whole bunch of crazy aerial stuff, a whole bunch of overhand chops, just lots of big high spots, and just like ignoring Alex Abrahantes. No, that's not fair. Everybody gets on Alex Abrahantes, and he's really not that bad. He's really not, guys. I took a little shot at him because, it's fun too, but lay off the guy. He's not bad. It's kind of aimless, but he's not bad.
If more of the people that he managed got to talk, people would think he's fantastic. The thing he did with Penta, where Penta would do his promos in Spanish and he would be like, Penta says, he was always spot on expressing the emotion that he needed to express while translating these things. He's really great at what he does. They need to let him do that more with some of these guys. Maybe they should put him with Beast Mortos and have Mortos be like, rah, 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 and Alex Abrahantes is like, Mortos says, and then do the promo.
Yeah, like, I mean, we already know that they have. Well, we'll get to this a little bit later when we get to some of the later AEW stuff, but we already know they have at least one person who speaks Beast.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
How come there's only one Beast speaker on the roster? Come on.
I don't know. Harley seems
crazy.
Like he speaks
Frank Mortos, attorney at Raw, needs to be able to speak his mind. He needs to be able to express himself. Why is he not feuding with the only other lawyer in wrestling, Mark Sterling? I don't know. I don't know. Give it to me. I want it. It's silly and dumb, and it's exactly my flavor of silly and dumb.
You know what my flavor of silly and dumb is? He finds a translator app for his phone, and him and Shibata feud.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, just Siri programs back, Siri promos back and forth. That'd be great.
It'd be amazing.
As long as they're short and funny, it'd be great. But yeah, this was the main thing about this match, though, from a storyline standpoint, was that Harley Cameron, who was in the last match, stuck around for commentary up until around the commercial break, and then she left. And then in her place during the commercial break, Harley Graham reappears, and I could have sworn I remembered who Harley Graham was. I could have sworn she got unmasked, but I don't know who that is. I really don't.
No idea at all.
This mysterious Harley Graham, who is bewitching the Beast Mortos, by the way. Like that, there is some animal magnetism going on between those two, and I, as an avid fan of wildlife documentaries, I'm interested in seeing where this goes. When a beast loves a hologram, what the hell happens? I don't know. But well, as far as the match is concerned, a whole bunch of awesome stuff happens, and then portal bomb on hologram into the shooting the shooting star press by Commander Andre. I think it was Dralistico. And that's it. That's it. It was great. The crowd absolutely was alive for this match. They were popping at everything, as well they should, because this was great. I do not know how long this feud is going to continue, because it seems like Commander and Hologram are kind of in a never-ending feud with La Facción and Gobernable.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're in a holding pattern until they figure out what the heck is going on with Roosh. But you know what? If it's pumping out matches like this every couple of weeks, I'm okay with it. Totally fine with it. And honestly, establishing Hologram and Commander as a tag team is great. It's a fantastic idea. Puts another real tag team with a tag team name and everything in the mix in the tag team division. Trying to rehab and rebuild that a little bit. We're seeing kind of mixed results, but adding more tag teams is not necessarily a bad thing in that. You know, if you're adding to a division, it's better than taking it away and splitting guys up for no reason, which we will also talk about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But before that happens, the lockup is over, and it's time to go to the shine.
All right, let's get to that shine. All right, for our shine today, we've got Raw from, see what day was this, March 24th? Yes, March 24th, yes.
So, I think so, yeah.
We are at the, I do have the venue here. It's the Ovo Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. Like every other show on this European tour, the crowd is super hot and super huge. And Scotty, and I'm sure this is a preview, and it is actually a preview for the London SmackDown. The chants do not end. They don't stop chanting. Holy crap, boy, do they love chanting in the UK.
Those Brits are geniuses with it. I mean, it comes from their football culture.
Yeah.
And the rugby culture before that is they just love chanting and singing. I love that they love singing.
I have a question. If anybody from the UK is listening to us, what do y'all eat before you come to events like this? Like, what do you eat before you go to football? What do you eat before you come to a WWE event? Because these people have so much energy. I have to know how they do this. Because I couldn't I'd be fucking exhausted by like match 2 in an environment like this, no question.
I think the secret is probably beer. But
I mean, yeah, is it pub
if I
time? Is
had to
pub
guess.
before football or after football? Because
Yes.
yeah, okay. Okay, that's fair. Because it is that kind of like here it's before, during, and after. Because we get hammered at games too.
Well, I mean, we have a sports bar tradition.
Yeah.
Here.
See, do they
So, I mean,
serve
that's
alcohol at the football stadium? Because I think because I mean here they do. Like you can go get hammered. I mean it's $20 a fucking beer, but you can get hammered.
I mean, it's Europe. I can't imagine they don't.
Somehow I can't imagine they don't either. Like I can't have a pint and watch a game of football. Like no, I don't. I think that's probably. I don't know.
I think they probably, if you asked for a pint, would give you 3. So
That's true. They probably have stricter
Lager
cutoff
flows
laws than
like
we do
water
here,
there.
though. Because I mean, as long as you can stumble to the counter in America, you can pretty much get what you want.
Except on a Sunday in Georgia.
Yeah, apparently.
I remember when we went to WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta, and the friends I was with, they wanted a pregame, and nothing was open.
No, sir.
Not even at the stadium. They wouldn't serve alcohol at the stadium.
They do not serve alcohol on Sundays
because
in the
of
South.
Really, really restrictive alcohol laws in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was. My friends were very, very disappointed.
You do not get to drink on Jesus Day in Georgia, honey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can buy homophobic chicken.
That's true. That's true. Actually, no, you can't. Not on Sunday.
No, you can't. No,
not on Sunday. You cannot. You can't buy homophobic chicken on Jesus Day either, honey. Yeah. And that's always the part that upsets me because every time I want Chick-fil-A, it's fucking Sunday. And I think that's just, if there is a God, that's God keeping me from buying homophobic chicken.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, like I've had Chick-fil-A and it is real good, but like I don't want to give them my money.
I don't either. That's why I'm
give them my money unless I have to. Like I had like last year when we went to our biannual trip to North Carolina to the beach, we had to get food like in the middle of it. It was just brand new still with us, Liam's diabetes diagnosis, and so we had to stop. We had to eat something. He had to get insulin, and the only place that was open that was near where we were at the time was Chick-fil-A. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do this, but my hand has been forced, and it was good, but it felt bad, man. Felt bad.
The staff are like super nice too.
They are. Like
I hate being mean to their staff because they are so legitimately nice to everyone. Like
yeah, they are. Like I don't want to. It's a complicated issue.
It is.
Let's just say that.
It is.
It's a complicated issue. We're talking about chicken instead of wrestling. Let's move on.
Anyway, so we're at the OVO. These guys have unending energy. Like I said, I honestly am so hyped up by the crowd for this show that I'm getting kind of exhausted just sitting here watching Raw. Like but also kind of not, because I kind of dig Raw at 2 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. I'm kind of with this. I mean, I'm at work, and
I was on break at work, and I saw you live posting. I was like, oh yeah, must be Raw. Raw must still be in Europe this week.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with it because I mean, like that time of day, like I've gone through my morning cases and everything, and I'm kind of in my midday lull where I would normally take a lunch, but I don't because I want to be there for the team when they need me. So I just sit here, and if I have a lull, I have a lull. I'll watch some YouTube videos or whatever, but then it's like, oh, hey, Raw's on. I'm like, oh, well, shit, let's watch Raw. So I could, I mean, it's a lull time. I can pause, thank God, because it's Netflix if I need to actually do some work, but I got through, Raw in the afternoon. It wasn't bad. I kind of like it during the day. I'm kind of going to be upset when it comes back to America because, like, I like it in the middle of the day. Raw should be like a baseball game. Like, hey, we're going to Raw today. Like, we're not doing the work thing. We're going to Raw. Hey, we're going to SmackDown.
Hey, maybe we can get that culture to change. That would be great.
I mean, AEW should do it like that since they film like 2 or 3 shows at a time, like with the ROH and Dynamite and Collision. They should do that shit at like 4 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon,
The problem is just the work week. It's
Yeah.
like if it's not going to be on a weekend, you can't guarantee that people are going to be there. At
Yeah.
4 o'clock, it's like only so many people can get through that rush hour traffic and make it on time.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I get it, but like our entire culture would probably have to change to accommodate it.
Yeah. So we open up, of course, with John Cena. Um, for the second week in a row, he cuts a "You People" promo and doesn't explain why he's signed up with The Rock. Like he just doesn't explain it. I don't know why he's just avoiding this subject. I need to know. Um,
What the hell, John?
so,
Come on, man.
but he basically says that the crowd is horrible people and they've been putting him through hell for 25 years, and we're going to pay for that. So he says he's going to go to WrestleMania and win his 17th title, and then he's going to walk away and retire with the title so that no one can ever be the legitimate champion again because no one will beat him. And he's going to ruin wrestling for everyone. Go ahead.
Uh,
Go ahead. I know what's coming. Go ahead.
June 2011 would like a word, sir.
This is exactly what I thought when he said that. I was like, I know somebody
It's
who
like,
took a title from you and
weren't
walked away.
you instrumental in becoming not the next, but the next champ? So are you, sir, saying that was an illegitimate title reign? Because guess what? You lost the title unification match to CM Punk that followed, which means you're not, according to your own logic, you're not at 16. You're at 15. Think of it. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it, John. You done messed up, Ron.
Not this one. Anyway, so
Jeez Louise.
of course, him saying he's going to ruin wrestling for everyone and be the last real world champion, of course, summons the world champion Cody
They
Rhodes.
already have this is on a show. This is in a company that already has another world champion
on this show.
This is so dumb. This is so dumb.
So this, of course, summons Cody Rhodes.
Who's giving him these notes, these bullet points?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But Cody comes out and he says, okay, last week I thought maybe you were being delusional, but now I know you're serious, and that makes you a dangerous John Cena. So I guess they're kind of walking back the complete microphone owning he gave him last week and calling him a bitch and trying to say now he's going to be dangerous. Even though I think they jumped the shark with the bitch thing, and you just showed us that Cody's gonna, like it makes me feel like Cody's gonna win this match. But they also like to piss people off at WrestleMania. So I don't know. No physicality, but it was just another "You People" promo, basically, and Cody coming out and kind of walking back from last week. I don't know how it really made things better.
All right. What could have been done differently to make it better? Because I feel like I got really, really negative there, and I don't want that to be what this podcast is. So what could have been done to make it better?
Just explain to us why you signed up with The Rock. Like, for fuck's sake, just tell us.
Yeah, but I don't think they know.
Like, if they would just tell us why. That's what we want.
I think it was a last minute decision, and they probably said, oh, we'll come up with something later, and I don't think they've come up with something yet. Like, but it's super easy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, just spitballing. Like, John Cena's a movie star now, a really successful one. He's, he's on HBO. He's done all this kind of stuff. Like, he is The Rock now. He gets where The Rock was in 2011.
Yeah.
Or 2012 rather. He understands. So make it about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, my buddy, The Rock was right, man. But he was smarter than I was because he left earlier. He made more money faster, earlier. And now he's the biggest, most sought after movie star in the world. And I could have been that. I could have gotten, and this is where you can bring it back into the toxic negativity of the fans. Because if by the time, they didn't turn around on John until around 2015 or so. So if he had listened to The Rock in the first place, be like, if I had gotten out of here sooner, if I had listened to him, if I had taken his advice and followed his example, he and I could be in buddy comedies for the rest of our lives, laughing at you people who were so bad to me, no matter what I did. Like, just something like that. Like, if you really want to work the you people stuff in there, that's how you work it back in there.
Yeah.
But instead, no, I tricked myself into coming back here and performing for you people, but it was never enough.
Yeah.
What's unstated there is that it wasn't that it was never enough for the fans, it was never enough for John Cena. It was never enough admiration. It was never enough respect. It was even when they were on his side, he had been so beaten down and so in his mind abused that no matter how much love they then gave him, it was never enough for John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you do it. I think that's a much more interesting story than, oh, you people really haven't made fun of me for like 10 years, but I hate y'all now.
Yeah. 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 I hope they do something to bring this back around. Cause
I mean, even if you don't want, if you want to go simpler with it, just have them say, look, it's very, very clear to me that, I don't really have it anymore and that I need help if I'm going to break this record. And if that means I need The Rock's help to get me in a position where I can do it, and if that means, yeah, if I'm going to have him interfere, what are the referee going to do? Throw out the boss of the company? I still get my record breaking title reign. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm in the history books. That even that something as simple and like dumb as that is still better than what I'm hearing.
Yeah. But
So there you go. 2 free ideas, WWE.
yeah.
Run it back. Run it back and retcon it.
Right.
Make it better. You still got like 4 weeks or 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So then we have A-Town Down Under versus Jey Uso and a mystery partner. So this got set up last week. A-Town Down Under just, disrespecting Jey Uso as they, do to people. Like, the people will just be walking down the hallway and A-Town Down Under is snickering and talking shit about them behind their back. And this is like how most of A-Town Down Under's matches get set up. Like, literally, like, this is the go-to thing for these. Like, they're talking shit, and then they either have a singles match or a tag team match against the people they were talking shit about and get their ass beat. Like, that's pretty much their whole thing. It's their shtick. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for all of us, Jey Uso decided to go ahead and make his mystery partner the most obvious person it could have been, and it's Jimmy Uso. So we have the Usos versus A-Town Down Under, and this suddenly makes it more than just like an angle match or whatever, where, Gunther's obviously going to show up at the end or whatever, into what turns out to be a really fantastic tag team match because, as we've discussed many times, the Usos are a top 5 all-time tag team, period.
Absolutely.
They're fucking amazing. 100%. So here we are having, and A-Town Down Under, while not a top 5 tag team, is really good at getting their ass beat and making their opponents look fantastic. So this whole thing was just great. It's everything you would expect from an exciting Usos tag team match. It was wonderful. It was a really good surprise for the first match of Raw. So they hit their 1D. They get the win. This is the first time the Usos have teamed on TV in a year and a half. It's long overdue. This needs to happen more. I know Jay's on his path to a singles title, and they're going to have to position Jimmy in some way, but they're kind of involving him in this. Well,
with Jimmy too, you have to worry about whether he's dependable or not.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got his demons, as they like to say in the business.
So
demons, by the way, is code word for addiction for all you new fans out there. When WWE says, "Oh, he has his demons," that means he has addiction problems.
Yes. So, Gunther does show up at the end of the match, and he takes out Jimmy, and him and Jay get into it. Jay goes into the corner, and he goes for a spear, but he trips and falls. And I think this is on purpose. I think they're trying to like make Jimmy look like
I
he's
hope
faltering.
so, because they've memed the heck out of that.
So he trips and falls, and then Gunther tries to come after him, but Jimmy recovers and saves him. So, I'll go ahead and talk about this now because everybody's talked about this already, at least a little bit. This leads to later on, we have a vignette, or not a vignette, but a backstage interaction where Jimmy and Gunther are talking to each other, and Jimmy's like, you know what? He's told Jay, like, if you can't do it right now, but if you're the Jay that I know, you can beat him at WrestleMania. But then Jimmy's like, and I'm gonna go do something. And so he takes off and he comes across Gunther in the back. And he tells Gunther, it's going to be you and me next week. I'm tired of you treating my brother like this. I'm tired of you getting in his head. I'm going to show him that you're beatable. So it's going to be you and me next week. And Gunther starts kind of laughing at him and starts to talk shit to him. And he slaps the shit out of him, man. Like, he slapped the shit out of him. It was substantial. Like, there was... Man, I was like, damn, he's like...
Well, I mean, you'd think it would have to be, right?
Yeah.
It would have to be. You're close up. You got to make it look good if it's going to actually affect Gunther. Like, if it's actually going to have some kind of impact on his thought process, or you got to hit him hard.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make him feel it. You got to make him remember it.
I think we all felt it. Like, he slapped the hell out of him, man. Like, I physically recoiled when I saw it. I was like, ooh, like,
yeah,
like, you know, something looks hard on TV when you physically recoil, knowing you're, thousands of miles away from this thing that is happening.
True facts.
So, okay. So then we go on to, a video package for what they're calling they're calling the Chad Gable thing El Grande Americano. We will talk about it here in a little bit, but he's billed from the Gulf of America.
Two things bug me about that.
A lot.
Number one, it's the Gulf of Mexico. Stop it. Number two, it should be El Americano Grande. That is grammatically correct.
Yes.
That honestly, that bugs me more as a proud pedant. That bugs me more for some reason.
Yeah, the whole this whole thing kind of bothers me. I don't know if I like it now. Like, if they had just kind of left it where it was and had him coming after luchadors, we could have been fine. But they keep adding little things, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, stop that right now. Like, somebody needs to be scolding somebody backstage about, like, what the fuck was that?
The people we were chastising last week had a field day with
yes,
this.
They did. They did, and I understand why.
Absolutely did.
I understand why they did, man.
I can't really disagree.
I can't defend it. Yeah, I can't defend this. This is some stupid shit. This is stupid. Yeah, I can't defend it. And I am more than happy to admit when something I see on this programming is indefensible. And here we are. Here we are. Okay? That I am not going to try to take some kind of stance against those people who are upset with this, because I get it. Okay? I am a proud Mexican American. I understand why this is offensive, and it fucking doesn't make me happy either. All right? So, there we are. But on the flip side, something more positive. They have been treating Lyra Valkyria not too well with her Intercontinental title run. I thought that tonight, in her match with Raquel Rodriguez, that it would maybe be coming to an end. Because they seem to like to give Judgment Day titles, seemingly to spite me directly, I feel like sometimes. Because it's always like, I'm like, don't you dare let them beat this person. And then they do, and I'm like, it's always, it's seemingly to spite me directly. It's like they listen to us. They know how much I dislike the Judgment Day. They're like, hey, it would make it really fucking bad. Let's
Yeah.
do this. So anyway, so here I thought this was going to be another instance of that, and what I got instead was a really competitive match between the women's Intercontinental Champion and a strong competitor in Raquel Rodriguez, where the women's Intercontinental Champion, despite outside interference, managed to pull out a win. It is kind of
That's great.
a complete 180 from where they had been booking her these last few weeks, where she hasn't really looked that strong. But now, seemingly the strongest competitor to her title just got put away by her, even though that person had help. Like, that's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
That's a bold win. That's not just like a normal, I got a clean
And you know
pin.
what? That's great because it shows that they're willing to course correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and then it's not too late.
Yeah. I'm hoping
to
there's
do that.
course correction in other areas. But I think there should be course correction in a lot of areas in both companies, but especially here in the couple of instances here. But so it was a really good match. Valkyria retains, obviously. The only thing that bothered me about this was that for some
Did
matches,
Raquel not show enough back?
well, no, for some, I mean, she does. I don't think anything she owns has a back. But for some title matches, they will hold the belt up and have the two competitors in the ring and do like with the announcer and do the full on thing. And sometimes they
Yeah.
don't, and it's very inconsistent. In this case, they did not.
Yeah.
It's very inconsistent in how they decide what deserves it and what doesn't. But I'm going to say, if you're going to do it for one title, even one, you need to do it for all of them. You need to make them all seem like a big deal. If a title is not a big deal, why do we care that they have this particular piece of gold and leather around their waist? Why do we care?
I agree. Like either do it or don't. The only other alternative is to pull a Michael Buffer and just do the special announcements for all main events.
Yeah.
Or at least all main events where a title is on the line. Like that's, just at least if you're gonna pick and choose, do it that way, not just like randomly. Like AEW has been doing this too, and it's like, why is this defense more important than this defense?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they should all be treated relatively equally. I mean, unless there's a huge major story behind it, like for example, the Hollywood ending. Okay, I get that,
Yeah.
but like then yeah. But like for the most part, you should treat them all equally anyway.
Yeah.
It's a title defense. The whole premise is that a champion could lose their their title to any challenger at any given time if you treat it that way. But if you don't, then it's like when you do the special announcements, I guess that's a signal that this could lead to a title change. But even then, that only works if that's actual foreshadowing and not a red herring.
Mm-hmm.
And it winds up being an accidental red herring, and if the title doesn't change hands.
Yeah.
During so it's guys, get it together. Choose whether you want to do it that way or not, because it's very confusing and kind of frustrating.
Yeah. So after that, we have a in-ring promo. Adam Pearce is in the ring. He's ready to discuss some things with the ladies who are going to be fighting for the championship at WrestleMania. So Io Sky comes out and she's like, it doesn't matter if I face Rhea or Bianca or both of them. I'm still going to be the champion at the end. And then, and the crowd's into that. They're really into that. I wouldn't mind either, just because of the way this is playing out, especially the actions that I'm sure this part is scripted, but for some reason it just irks me, and I'm going to explain this. So Bianca Belair comes out because she is the rightful, challenger, I guess. And she's talking about how, Rhea doesn't deserve to be part of this. And Pierce is like, hey, look, it's just, it's something we have to figure out and something we're going to have to deal with just based on what's happened already. And Io tries to say something And Bianca kind of pie faces her again and shoves her off and just kind of like dismisses her. And that it irks me that they're doing this to the women's world champion.
Man, that's racist.
A little bit. But then
No, not really.
But then
It's
Rhea
just
shows up. And Bianca's like, why do you get to even be part of this? Like, you don't have the title. You're not the challenger. Not like, is one of the qualifications to get into the women's world title match at WrestleMania just to be Rhea Ripley? And I mean, she kind of has a point. But Rhea's like, look,
But I would argue yes.
Yes. Yes.
I would argue yes.
But Rhea's like,
that's the problem with that.
She says, you know, you were involved in me losing my title. I didn't lose my title fairly. It was your fault that I lost it. So, of course, I should be involved in this because this is also my rematch. And Bianca's like, no, that should get taken care of before WrestleMania, blah, blah. And Adam Pearce agrees with her. So Adam Pearce is like,
that's why we're doing it now. Yeah.
So Adam Pearce is like, next week, we're going to have Rhea and EO 2. And that's who you'll face at WrestleMania. And then Bianca's like, well, what if Rhea wins? But that she's, you know, blah, blah, you know, she's complaining backstage to Pearce. And Pearce is like, oh, no. You don't understand. You have to be an impartial person in all of this because you're going to be the official in that match next week. And you better call it down the middle. So what I have a feeling that Bianca is going to screw Rhea somehow. And that's how this three-way happens because Pearce is going to be like, you were supposed to be an impartial official and you weren't.
What? Oh, they have the opportunity to do something awesome here. What if she counts the 3 with her hair?
That'd be awesome.
That'd be amazing. Like it's so dumb, it's so stupid, but it's a way that she hasn't used her hair braid yet.
Yeah.
So far as I can tell, right?
Right.
How awesome would it be to get the 3 count with the hair? And if she does it throughout the whole match, then the way that she can screw Rhea over is if she's pinning Io, she's hitting the mat with her hair, and Rhea doesn't think anything of it because that's how she's been doing it the whole time. And then on the third one, where she would pin Io, instead she whips Rhea with the hair braid. And then that's how she causes her to get screwed over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I would book. Oh, they have the chance to do something. I mean, you know, it's probably not going to happen, but that would be how I would book it. That'd be great. I think the fans would really be into it too.
Yeah, they probably would. So after that, we have El Grande Americano in action. He's against Dragon Lee. This is where he's, you know, they say he's from the Gulf of America. Okay.
I bet that got a reaction.
I didn't really like it. I don't think the British people seem to understand. So, I mean, and do you expect them to? You know?
It wouldn't mean as much.
Yeah, it doesn't mean as much to them as it does to us. I don't think they understand, like, the connotations of it fully. So.
Probably not.
So this might have been the place to do it, where you're not going to get booze. Because if you do this in, like, certain places.
Oh, you mean to do the cowardly thing?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
I mean, that would make sense. But so we get past that, and the match itself is pretty good until they do the thing I hate. And
mask thing.
He took it all the way off. He took Dragon Lee's mask all the way off, and then put him in an ankle lock. So he couldn't tap out, really. He had to, like, figure out a way to cover his face and tap out at the same time. I am not sure if he got his mask back because we kind of went to commercial after this and didn't really see, like, the cleanup.
The aftermath, yeah.
But I don't know if he got his mask back or if Gable left with it. But he did, like, completely take his mask off. And I know, like, it was planned, and I know...
Gable. That's El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Chad
Gable. It's Gable.
Seen in weeks.
I'm not going to play that game at all. Like, this is because this isn't a fun one to me, really. It's like getting more offensive by the week, and I don't like it. But I like to do this. Like, I'm sure the guy gave the okay, but God, I hate it. I just don't have anything good to say about that. So I'll move on to something I have tons of good things to say. Because now we've got our, well, okay. Before I talk about this match that was the main event, I'll talk about the CM Punk promo because he came down to talk about what happened with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns on SmackDown. Nobody interrupted him. We just had a nice little CM Punk promo, so it was cool. But he did say he'll be there on SmackDown. So on SmackDown, and this is where they're doing the signing for their WrestleMania match, and it's going to be the three of them. All right. So after that, we go into our main event. It's Braun Breaker versus Penta for the Intercontinental Championship. First of all, good on our boy Penta for already getting an IC title shot. I mean, they're strapping a rocket to him.
He's been with the company, what, 6 weeks?
6 weeks or something like that. Yeah, maybe 8.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kicking ass. Braun Breaker, super favorite of mine. One of my favorite parts of these shows. I love Braun Breaker. I think he's fucking awesome. It's just really cool to see. Like, it's just, he's really good, man. I really enjoy him. So, these guys have just an unbelievable amount of chemistry together in the ring. It's a really good match all the way up until Dominic Mysterio and Carlito show up. Now, Dominic has offered Penta a spot in the Judgment Day. And so I guess this is them trying to get him to say yes.
Does he have the authority to do that?
Finn's not happy about it. Finn's pissed. So I don't know how we're doing this, but Liv and Dom are kind of trying to get. There's a power struggle in the Judgment Day, basically. But Dom's trying to get Penta, so I guess this is them. They're gonna help him out, and they're gonna, help him win the Intercontinental title, so that they have a new member of Judgment Day and they have a belt now. But what they get instead is Braun Breaker kicking their ass, and then Penta kicking their ass. And they both kind of get kicked out. But Finn shows up and hits Braun with a chair and gets a DQ. And so they actually now cost Penta the match. But then Balor kind of got, like, Penta, took the chair to Dom and Carlito, and then Balor got the best of Penta, and that's kind of how we exited the show. This Balor kind of laying Penta out. So, I'm assuming tomorrow we're going to have maybe Braun and Penta versus the Judgment Day, or the Judgment Day's going to be like, come out here, Penta, and Penta's going to be like, I'll fucking fight you, and they're going to be like, oh, you in what army? And here comes Rey Fenix, and then we get to watch them beat the shit out of the Judgment Day because, Lucha Brothers. So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think
they'll do a good lucha thing.
Yeah. But the match with Penta and Braun was really good. We need to run this back. We need to run this back without Judgment Day being involved at all. Like, we just need to run back a match between these two guys with no angle interference or anything. Was really good. So Raw, there was some stuff I didn't like. There was some stuff that I don't think anybody liked. And then there was, in between all that, like, some really good development and some really good wrestling and some good stuff to look forward to at WrestleMania. I would like to maybe see them run this Penta versus Braun thing back at WrestleMania, or maybe we'll do another multi-man match and add Finn to that mix, and that'll be our WrestleMania match. But then again, I don't think the business with Pete Dunne and Ludwig Kaiser is completely finished either. So this could be 5 dudes. This could suddenly be a big, like, Money in the Bank style ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Yeah. And suddenly I understand where it might be going. Yeah. So, yeah, as is tradition.
As is tradition.
So yeah. Maybe that's what's going to happen.
Who's going to put the butterscotch pudding on her arms?
As is tradition. So probably John
Born to
Cena.
Canada and therefore the world.
so so yeah. Um,
That episode is so
it's
dumb, but it's
like my
so
favorite.
good.
I love that episode. It's one of my favorites. But yeah,
Tooth decay.
I think Raw was pretty good overall. I mean, there was stuff I didn't like,
Yeah.
obviously, but really like enjoyable experience watching. The crowd really helped that out. But good God, they're so hype about everything. Like I can't be that hype. Like even sitting on my couch watching, I cannot be that hype about the whole show, start to
My
finish.
question is, like, how come they were in Glasgow? How come they didn't have a single Scot on that show?
Oh, they were
Like, I
saving the
know they're
Scott
all
for
on
London.
SmackDown. I know they're all on SmackDown. Alba Fire and Piper Niven and Drew McIntyre are all on SmackDown now. Okay, fine, whatever. So why didn't you just switch the two? Why didn't you? Why?
And they were all
Like,
on
come on,
SmackDown too.
guys.
Yeah, in
I
London.
mean, I get that they probably want to be booed, but like and they wouldn't be booed in Scotland. But like, come on, like you're.
Oh, they didn't really get booed in London either.
Uh,
No, they pretty much got
uh,
a nice welcome in both places.
they're still Brits,
Yeah,
so
basically. But yeah, overall it was pretty good. So all right, so yeah, let's get over to the Morton.
yeah, okay. So Morton is AEW Dynamite from March 26th in St. Paul, Minnesota. This crowd again was hot. Uh, like it was definitely the right play, the right choice to go to these smaller venues where everybody who is there wants to be there and is hyped for what they're seeing. Especially in places like Minnesota and on Saturday, Wisconsin, which guess what? Are cold and have nothing to do this time of year after
Amen.
football is over. So, like,
Amen.
yes, give them some wrestling by all means. Show starts out with Kenny Omega versus Blake Christian. Um, I haven't been keeping up with Blake Christian in Ring of Honor. I don't know if he's signed or not. I really don't. But I think I first saw him like I haven't seen much of GCW, but the first time I saw him was on a GCW show. And I thought the kid was good. I thought he had a lot of potential. And I guess he had a pretty lengthy run as their champion, and he got really over as a heel. People really hated that guy to the point where it started to feel like it was like actual heat instead of just heel heat. Like I would see stuff on Twitter and on Blue Sky be like, "Huh, why do you actually hate this guy?" Like, is it just because he has a punchable face or anything? He does kind of have a punchable face.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was a fan of the guy's work. I haven't seen him wrestle in over a year or so live on my TV, but like I was glad to see him getting this spot against Kenny Omega, and he looked pretty good, all things considered. It was only like maybe a 7 or 8 minute match. It wasn't too super duper long or anything. I don't think it even got a commercial. I think it may have gotten a commercial break, but it wasn't like super long. But at the end of the day, unsurprisingly, Kenny got the win with a hell of a V trigger. It looked like he kneed his face like
Oh
clean
man,
off of his head.
it was gnarly.
And then the one winged angel, um, but yeah, like Christian got some Blake Christian got some licks in. It was not a squash match. I would not qualify it as a squash match. Blake
No.
got enough offense in. It was probably about 40, 60, 35, 65, something like that. Like it wasn't much. He didn't, Omega got most of it, but I feel like uh, I feel like he really acquitted himself well. And spoilers, he would acquit himself well on Saturday too, in even better fashion. Um, like Omega looks like he never left. Like he looks as crisp and as clean as the day is like the 3 months before he got diverticulitis. Like
Yeah.
it looks like he's like back. Um, he grabs the mic after the match, uh, and he mentions Ricochet and Speedball as his next challengers at Dynasty. And Speedball comes out, which I didn't really expect. He comes out in a heavy Quebecois accent, and basically uh, sings the praises of Kenny Omega and says he really admires him. He looks up to him, but guess what? He's gonna take that title anyway. Um, Kenny Omega then says, "It's not about making friends. I have a cat. I don't need any more," which is kind of funny, but also kind of telling because like the Young Bucks haven't shown back up, and
Nope.
there are a lot of people still hoping that Kenny and Hangman will eventually reunite down the line and be okay, in a way that is more permanent than transient. Um, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be a facet of Kenny Omega's character going forward, at least for the short term. Um, but yeah, Ricochet shows up, by the way, on the Tron. He's all dressed like I don't know. I don't know. It looks like he took Will Ospreay's uh uh you know Assassin's Creed gimmick and like gave it a dress uniform makeover. Like it's like I'm an assassin going to my own wedding because guess what? He was there at his wedding. Why would anyone would have a wedding on a Wednesday is beyond me. But it looked like he was somewhere much balmier and sunnier than where I live. So good on him. And I thought he was already married to Sam. So
I thought
good
so
for
too.
them, I guess. Even though I don't really like him as a person, and her marrying him really brings up questions about her judgment. Good for them anyway. I love weddings. I love weddings. Um,
Yay.
I'm really fun at a wedding too. By the way, there was a point where my friend Steph and I were like we were teasing the idea of maybe being professional wedding guests because we love weddings so much, which is a thing. That is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a very niche market, but it is a thing. After that, Chris Jericho is in the back with the learning tree, and he once again chews them out, and he really gives it to him this time. Like it's not like backhanded, it's not passive aggressive. It is you two are making me look bad, and you two are not living up to your promise. Go out and prove yourselves, or you will no longer be sitting at the root of my learning tree.
Yeah.
And so you will see them in a little bit. But first of all, MJF is here and he comes out to the ring and he says that he doesn't have a lot of time. So he calls out MVP and says that he's still burned from the last time he tried to be friends with somebody. But he is about business, just like MVP is all about business. So maybe MJF should be starting to get into the business of hurting people. So they're about to shake hands, and then the Hurt Syndicate's music hits again, and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, the World Tag Team Champions, come out, and they don't specifically Bobby Lashley. Benjamin isn't really plussed either, but he seems more passive about the whole thing than Bobby, who takes the business card out of MJF's hand and tears it in half without saying a word. And MJF's like, "Hey, keep your guy in line, guy. What's going on?" And so they're kind of it's not exactly a brawl by any stretch, but there's kind of a little pull part, a little bit. MVP doing damage control, and MVP goes to the back, says like maybe we'll fix this, hash this out later. And at that point, and the Hurt Syndicate's in the ring, and then Big Bill and Brian Keith are there on the entrance ramp all of a sudden, and they challenge for the World Tag Team title.
Hmm.
And you have to think that I would find out later that this is true, but in the moment I was like, why? what happened to the Murder Machines? I thought they were gearing up to be the next one. I guess Brian Cage got injured.
Oh.
So this is clearly a pivot, which
Mm.
is, fine because we knew that whoever was going to face the Hurt Syndicate next wasn't actually going to win. So,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter who the next challenger is because whoever it is isn't going to win. um, it's a good spot for for Big Bill and Brian Keith, though. I feel like, I mean, Bill's getting over. Like, it's impossible to deny, especially when they go overseas. Like, he was enormous with the Australian crowd, with the English crowds. The foreign crowds especially love him, but he's starting to get cheers stateside too.
Yeah.
So at least putting him in the spot isn't necessarily a bad idea. He goes on to say that, I was tag team champion, and then Sting went and retired, and I never got my rematch that I'm owed, which is kind of flimsy because in AEW they don't usually do automatic rematches anyway.
Yeah.
Like if this was WWE, that would be absolutely a valid argument because they do rematches all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's such is tradition. But in AEW that's not really a thing, so it's a weaker argument.
Yeah.
But it's Big Bill, so I'll give him a pass. And Brian Keith's been working hard too. He had that great match with Bandito. Like he's been trying really hard to maximize whatever minutes he's given.
Yeah.
So, you know what? By all means, let's do it. Uh, MVP will not let them talk though.
No. No.
Uh,
MVP, man, he went
I
hard.
feel like
He went a little too hard. I felt like maybe.
there must be some real heat here or something like that because like MVP seemed like he almost went into business for himself a little
Maybe a
bit,
little.
and I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I was kind of uncomfortable with how much he was interrupting them because it definitely seemed like he was doing so to bury them. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, it felt pretty Barry-ish. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
real shovelly.
for somebody who heavily implied that he had problems with how Triple H handled his business, he sure doesn't mind taking out that golden shovel, it appears.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I
So
felt.
I don't know. But either way, they tell him, win a match as a tag team and get back to us. Um Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa are now backstage with Renee. They're not Thunderstorm anymore. I don't know if I should actually say what their tag team name is, but when Tony says it, every single person in that frame has a different, utterly hilarious reaction to it, and it's glorious. Uh,
It was pretty funny. You texted me.
Thunder
I was
Rosa
like, "What the
doesn't
hell is
really
he
like it
talking
at
about?"
first. Thunder Rosa doesn't really like it at first, but by the time they get to their entrance later in the show, she's all about it.
Yeah,
Like really all about
yeah, she
it.
is really all about it.
Surprisingly
Yeah,
all about it. Next match is Kyle Fletcher and Brody King. Um, man, this match was good. Like, excellent clash of styles. Brody King doesn't win, but he still looks. They have one thing Tony Khan I feel doesn't get the credit for that he deserves is protecting his big men. Like, even when they lose, they always look strong, even in the loss. Like it took a turnbuckle brainbuster from Fletcher to put away Brody King on
yeah,
this night. Like and heavy cheating throughout the match. Like not only from Fletcher but also from Callis.
yeah,
Like it, it was a good match, but Fletcher was definitely fighting from underneath almost the entire time. Um and he does win nefariously and by going a little brutal, uh, bringing out the ultimate finisher with that brainbuster. But no, I didn't think that Brody lost anything from this match, and Kyle certainly doesn't lose anything by beating him. So it was good thing to get him back on the winning path. What I want to see though is, I mean, I know that Buddy got injured in Australia. Oh, not in Australia, at Revolution rather. But I would hope that he would get better soon so that we can see the Hounds of Hell as a tag team, because those are on my short list of guys I want to dethrone the Hurt Business for the tag belts.
Yeah.
Like if it can't be FTR, then I want it to be the Hounds of Hell.
Right.
Like
It needs to be. They need some legitimacy.
yeah, absolutely. After the bell, Fletcher and Mark Davis, who also got involved. I forgot about him. But he jump him after the bell. But Powerhouse Hobbs is here to make the save. You know, big meaty men saving other big meaty men. It's a fraternity. It's a code. You know, if they're not fighting, they're helping each other. So you know,
Yep.
it's great. But that leads into the next match where Mark Davis takes on Powerhouse Hobbs. It was really weird though. They kept them away the entire time during the commercial break, and then they come back to it, and like there's still like a ton of security around. It's like these guys already have a match. Why are you trying to
Yeah. Why are you in the
separate them?
way? Yeah, that's what I thought
It's
too. I
like
was like, what?
they're the only thing I can think of was that they kind of implied that the match was supposed to go on later in the show, but we're here now, so we might as well do it now.
Yeah.
But I don't
Maybe.
know if I buy that. Like, whatever. This match was kind of short, honestly. Um, Davis kind of hits the ropes, runs into a spine buster, and that's it. Like, it kind of sucked because Davis looked like a beast last week in that 4-way,
Yeah.
and now he's just kind of reduced to being fed to Hobbs when this could have been a legit, meaty men slapping meat match.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. It was kind of disappointing. It was more of an angle than a match.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was gonna do it, I would have been like, why don't you just make it a tag match? Just have Hobbs and do both. Do Hobbs and Brody versus Fletcher and Davis versus Aussie Open, and then have
Yeah.
Aussie Open go over because
Yeah.
they're the actual tag team. Like, could
Makes
have
sense.
probably wound up being a better match than the two put together. Two matches put together, and it wouldn't have wasted two guys. It would have incorporated them.
Yeah.
Um, Hangman is back getting interviewed by Renee, and then Swerve busts in, and it gets heated quickly. He's like, "Oh, I heard you're gonna try and prevent me from winning it." Well, it's like, bitch, did I stutter? Totally code switched on him, which is how you can tell. It's how you can tell that they're really good friends in real life. That's a tell. That's a tell. The code switching is a tell. Um, but yeah, they need to get pulled apart, and you know he, uh, he says, "You know what I'm capable of, Hangman. If you, I will end you if you get involved." But in the course of that, Hangman, he had did he qual he did he say he had entered the Owen the prior week? It was the prior week, yeah.
Yeah.
But he reiterated it here. So I really want to see where that goes because uh we'll talk about it a little bit later. Like we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff a little bit later. But like this tournament really seems like it could be anybody's tournament the way it's looking at. Like they're booking it so well with so many high level talents that I legitimately don't know who they're gonna have win it. Maybe when we're gonna get the brackets this Wednesday to see the whole field. Maybe it'll be clearer then. But I really don't know who's gonna win it. If Hangman is slated to win it, he may let he may choose to not involve himself in Mox versus Hangman and Mox versus Swerve with the idea that, well, even if Swerve wins the belt, then I can have my ultimate justice by winning the belt off of him at All In.
Yeah.
But then it could even backfire on him by having Swerve be so paranoid about a guy who's not going to get involved that he doesn't see the guys who do get involved, the Death Riders, and he still loses. Like, I mean, there are avenues you could go, and I really don't know where they're going, and I like that feeling. I like that unpredictability. We've talked about it before. Um, Sit down interview, rated FTR with Tony Schiavone. Uh, what was great about this was that it seemed like a conversation. It didn't seem like a promo. It was three guys who kind of had opposing viewpoints, opposing uh, perspectives on the situation at hand. Basically, it came down to, you know, Dax saying, okay, we kind of helped you out with this. It didn't work out. Can we do our stuff now, please? And Cope saying, well, I mean, I only, what do you mean doing my stuff? I only came, back when I did to help you guys out because you were getting kidnapped and beaten up by Death Riders. And then Cash is there in the middle, literally and figuratively in the middle of this saying, hey, can we just all get along, please? Like, and then, Dax wants to, target the Hurt Syndicate, get, refocus on becoming 3-time AEW Tag Team Champions. But Cash wants to go with Cope's idea of maybe there's some juice in this FTR, rated FTR thing, and maybe we should, finish our business with the Death Riders by taking their belts. And so Dax, I wouldn't say reluctantly, but it's not what he wants, but he's willing to go along with it because of the other benefits it brings. But he goes along with it. He's like, okay, sure, let's make the challenge official. Yuta, Pac, Claudio, we want a shot at the trios belts. So that's how that worked out. Swerve then goes to the ring. Moxley's comes to the ring to meet him. They have a promo off. Basically, Swerve calls Moxley out for not being real, and Moxley's like, you could be the guy. Let's test that. That's basically kind of what the whole thing boiled down to.
Yeah.
Was that Moxley kind of admires and sees a lot of himself in Swerve because they're both evil, violent bastards. And Swerve is like, I don't care about any of that. I just want the belt, and I'm willing to go through. And you made this personal by attacking me with a crowbar. So, yeah, this is how it's gonna be. This is I'm the Dynasty era is my era.
The thing that I took issue with here was that Moxley was like, "You've suffered, but you haven't suffered enough," and I'm like, he had his house burnt down.
Yeah, like
I think he suffered enough to be qualified as being as sick and dangerous as you there, Mox buddy.
Yeah, he has. I don't understand. Like, does Mox watch the program?
Right? Like, do you even understand what's going on, Mox?
Like, do you understand? I don't think you do.
No.
Like, because I mean, I know that Mox had a tough upbringing, but I don't think his house ever burnt down. He never mentioned that in his book.
No, I don't think so.
So I don't know. In any case, they don't touch, but Marina Shafir is. Oh, the Death Riders try. We're gonna circle out, and then Willow Nightingale, of all people, comes in with a pipe, and she's all like, basically Swerve's unexpected buddy there. Like, he even gives her a look like, you? Okay, fine. So the men don't brawl, but guess what? Marina and Willow want it. So they go at each other. They have to be pulled apart, etc., etc. In the back, Shibata's in the back, commandeering a camera. Samoa Joe and Hook come across Max Caster, who's being annoying to Top Flight. Chokes him out. Looks at Hook, says, "Oh yeah, that was pretty fun." Because he had questioned Hook about how long he had kept Caster in the choke earlier when they had their match. He's like, "Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. That was pretty fun." And then they just
that was my favorite segment of the show by far.
Caster getting beat up is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Trying to get Top Flight to do the chant is Then
Yeah,
just Samoa Joe being
that
like,
chant,
"Hey, I got him.
you,
Don't worry."
I guarantee you, give it another 4 weeks, that chant is actually going to get over
It is, and
somehow.
it is gonna.
If he
It
keeps doing
is.
it, it's actually going to get over.
It
It's so
is.
dumb, and it's not natural at all to the rhythm that you want it to go, but
No, it's
it's gonna get
100% gonna get
over
over. Yeah.
because it's dumb and it's entertaining and it's it feels like an in joke, and people love being being on the inside of in jokes.
Yeah,
They love being in on something.
they do.
Up next was Top Flight with AR Fox beating Alex Finley and Devo Knight, which just sounds like a whole bunch of 80s guys. But they're just a
It
couple of
does.
Devo Knight.
Devo
It's,
Knight. Oh.
it sounds like if you invited a pro like a new wave band to play at your school dance.
Or
Oh,
like one of those '80s parties that they have, like the themed '80s parties. It's Devo Night.
yes. It's Devo Knight. We are not man. We are Devo. Um, but yeah, Top Flight takes over really quickly. Um, it's it's your basic squash match. They let it go on probably a little longer than you would think, but yeah, it's all Darius and Dante, and yeah, that's it. Top Flight, they draw with crew who are in the crowd after that in their big stupid jackets with the looking like King Koopa, freaking Bowser.
Bowser jackets. I will be disappointed
Um,
if that's not what they're
you know,
called.
right. Um, Match 5 is Mark Briscoe versus Konosuke Takeshita, and like, how could this not be amazing? Like, it's Mark Briscoe who brings that crazy manic charisma to everything that he does, and that energy that he brings to everything, and he and Takeshita just kicked the crap out of each other. They were going real hard. There was no need for them to go this hard. It
No.
wasn't even the main event. They didn't need to go this hard, but they did. But yeah, like it tried pretty much everything. He hit the froggy bow, but Takeshita rolls out of the ring. He hits the J Driller, which normally would end things, but the foot is on the rope. He tries to go for the cutthroat driver, but Takeshita lands on his feet, rolling elbow, raging fire, 1, 2, 3. Like, I that simplifying it to an insane degree. Like, this was much more of a back and forth, very physical match. Both
That
guys
rolling
looked like they were
elbow,
pretty beat
man.
up by the end of it. And Callis on commentary was very complimentary of as the best heel managers do. They put over the competition by extolling the virtues of their talent, but saying they're a scumbag and my guy's better anyway.
Yeah.
Like, so he's very good on commentary. He's easily becoming one of my favorite managers of all time, heel managers of all time. He is very good at his job.
Yes, he is. He is. I hate him.
Um, I know,
But I'm
and
supposed
you're
to.
supposed to. It's
I'm
good.
supposed to hate him, and I do.
You're supposed to hate
So
him. He's doing his
yeah,
job.
he's doing his job. I love getting sucked into wrestling because I just feel like, if I met Don Callis on the street, I'd be like, "Oh my God, it's Don Callis. Nice to meet you, sir. Love your work." But when I'm sitting in front of the TV and watching him on TV, I'm like, "I hate
Yeah.
you, scumbag son of a
If I
bitch."
meet him, if I ever go to a meet and greet where I know he's going to be there, I'm going to ask him to sign my screwdriver. And since I don't know whether it's a Phillips
Word.
head or a flathead, I'll bring both.
I hope it's a flathead.
Kind of hope it's a flathead too, but I don't know. I don't know. Death Riders are backstage. They accept the challenge. Uh, call them pathetic. It'll be easy to pick them apart. Sets up Wheeler Yuta versus Dax Harwood on Collision. Um, Backstage, you see the Hurt Syndicate. They kind of fight about MJF and how he's a scumbag, and like, you let us have the week off specifically so you can do this behind our back. Is that what this is about? He's like, no, this is about business. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
If you you know we can have a conversation if you don't want to do this, but we can have a conversation and it doesn't need to be public. So they're going to have a conversation. And then the main event, women main eventing. Yay.
Yay.
Women main eventing. Thunderstorm or Thunder something else. Versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. By this point, Thunder Rosa's all in on the name.
Yeah,
She's
is.
all in on the entrance too. She's super dramatic and really leaning into like the like just their closeness and the high drama of it all, the black and white and the whole. It was great. Thunder Rosa is one of my favorites on the roster because every time she's handed an opportunity like this, she always goes all in. And sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it does work. And I felt it worked here, and she was fantastic here. Um, I mean, honestly, the match itself was kind of basic. It wasn't it wasn't really like as good as I hoped it would be. I think they were kind of maybe they didn't have enough time that they wanted to work with or anything. But women in the main event, my lady, Tony Storm in the main event, my girl, Thunder Rosa in the main event, Megan Bayne, who looks fantastic in the main event, my friend of a friend, Penelope Ford in the main event. I can't really ask for more than that, so I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Um yeah, it ends clean with Megan Bayne with the Fates descent, and I think she hits it differently. I'm not sure if this was a note that was given to her by Tony. I don't know if it was something she decided to do. I don't know if it was an accident. But instead of like throwing herself back when she hits Fate's descent, which I felt looked really awkward because it looked like the timing of her throwing back wasn't clicking with the actual descent of her opponent to the mat. It looked like it happened too late and she flew herself too far backwards. She fell forward and just kind of threw her forward and kind of landed in almost a superhero pose. And I thought, okay, that's different. I like that a lot better because A, it looks like she's in control, and B, it differentiates her version from anybody else's F5.
Yeah.
And she looks like a badass doing it too when she does it that way. Because that way, if she once she perfects it from that, she can look straight at the camera as she does it if she wants to. But just look right down the barrel, like right into your soul as you're watching at home. And I can see that being very effective on a live TV audience. But yeah, that was the show. Tony was despondent after losing. She lost clean. She got absolutely wrecked. She was in the corner just weeping. And it was so over the top and it was great. And I could not wait for Collision because I was like, oh, I need to see where this is going. My girl's in trouble. I need to see how she's going to respond.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the morning. It was a pretty good episode. It wasn't like a star-studded episode. It didn't have like the crazy, the freaking crazy, street fight that we had last week or anything like that. But it was a good show, mostly from top to bottom. Even if a lot of it would be, even if a lot of it would be considered filler by some people.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, that's the morning. So let's go on
Yeah.
to the hope spot.
To the Hope Spot. All right, it's time for our Hope Spot. This week, that's SmackDown from London at the O2. Classic venue.
They
One of my
love going to
favorites.
the O2, don't they?
Yes, they do, man. They really do. Anytime they're in London, it seems like. Um, so marching on with our typical thing. So um, Cody Rhodes comes out first, and so the first 20 minutes of this show is Cody Rhodes enters. The crowd sings to him and chants so hard for so long that he does not get to say anything for like 10 minutes. He asks London what they want to talk about, and then for another 5 minutes, the chanting, it does not allow him to say anything. And then Orton comes out, and they sing Orton to the ring, and then they chant at Randy Orton for like 5 or 10 minutes. And so that's like the first like 25 to 25 minutes of this show. Like, seriously, like it's just
Louise, guys.
nothing but chanting. Cody Rhodes is going to penetrate my dreams for like the next 48 hours minimum. Because I watched this show earlier today. So I am very much like, it's in my head right now. Cody Rhodes. Like the whole fucking show, man. And they did it with a bunch of different people too. So, um, so they were, Orton basically just went on this thing about how proud he is of Cody Rhodes, about how far he's come since, legacy and stuff like that. And without mentioning legacy by name at all. Weird. So then that kind of brought out Drew McIntyre to be like, oh, of course, the two Nepo babies are out here giving each other a wank, like, and he's like, of course, you got this, championship going on, this championship match going on, and not the, one former champion from the UK, which gets Drew McIntyre a pop, and then for like 5 minutes they chant, "Oh, Drew McIntyre!" Like, I mean, like seriously, man, they almost hijacked the whole show this way, like, but that was pretty much the end of it. Like, Drew McIntyre got in the ring, he talked a bunch of shit. Cody ended up hitting him. Orton went for an RKO, but Drew balked him and powdered out of the ring and took off basically. It was all right. I mean, not really much to the segment because of all the crowd chanting. Like, there wasn't a lot of talk except for Randy Orton talking about how proud he is of Cody. Then we get into a Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly tag team title match, which I forgot was coming this week. But it's cool.
Pretty Deadly were real over.
Oh, they were super over, and in typical WWE fashion, they got let down because Pretty Deadly did not win. It was a really good match though. It was super entertaining for what it was. So I mean, I've talked at length about both of these teams and their work in the ring. They both are very good, and it was what you would expect from two very good tag teams. One of them being in their home country, and just having a really good match and making sure that everybody looked good in the end. Nobody looked bad at the end of this. It just was a really good match. It kind of occurred to me that like, I know the Pretty Daily guys like hit harder than they look like they would hit, but when you stand them up next to the Street Profits, who are both kind of bigger dudes, they're deceptively large as well. They kind of stand up to the Street Profits. Like, I mean, they're comparable in size. They're deceptively big in that way because you don't ever really notice how big they are. Because they kind of look the size of their opponents, but in this case, like, you understand, like, wow, these guys are actually kind of like large. No wonder they hit so hard. But from one hometown tag team kind of to another, or from one definitely to another kind of, we get Caden Carter and Katana Chance. We haven't seen these two in action in a while, but they're facing the Secret Hervis, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven. That's actually what they're calling them now. So
that's great. That's a great name. I love it.
But Piper and Alba are over here, of course, in the UK.
Oh, and really?
They're super into them. They don't treat them like the heels that they definitely are and are definitely acting like. They just cheer them the whole time, and they get the win, of course, because they're building them up, and we don't see Caden and Katana that often. So, I mean, kind of saw this one coming from a mile away. It wasn't really a squash match, though. They both got their stuff in. Caden and Katana do some really interesting and very acrobatic tag team moves, including one called the keg stand that I had never seen before. that was like she grabbed her partner up in like kind of a suplex position, but she was like handstanding with one hand on her shoulder, and then she dropped her on the opponent. Like it was cool, man. It was just really
Yeah,
cool.
Katana has that American Ninja Warrior background. Like she's there's some stuff she can do. Like she can spider monkey right up the pole of the ring. Like it's crazy. She's super athletic and she's tiny,
Yeah,
so
they
it
are kind of
probably
small,
makes it
yeah.
easier for her.
But yeah, they had a really fun match. But Piper and Piper and Alpha Fire pick up the win. Um, so last week Braun Strowman or Jacob Fatu got DQ'd in his match against Braun Strowman, so Braun Strowman got the win. So he's facing LA Knight for the title. They're both super over here in England. The crowd's really into LA Knight, especially. Um,
They love their
it
TNA guys
Yeah, it's a
in
typical
England.
big man
England was
match.
England was a huge stronghold for TNA for many years, so that doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, it was a typical like big man versus smaller man match for the most part. And at one point, um, LA Knight's outside the ring. Braun goes outside the ring to do his little like truck thing that he does, where he runs like all the way around the ring and hits him. And as he comes around to the side that LA Knight's on to hit him, a blur of gray comes through the frame, and all you kind of see is the elbow impact, and Braun Strowman gets elbowed clean off his feet, and it turns out to be Jacob Fatu, who now understandably looks like a Tasmanian devil to me. I'll never unsee it now, because he literally came tornadoing through that screen and like hit him with an elbow, and then suddenly you understand who like you have to slow the frames down to understand who that is before they focus in on him after the fact. I couldn't have I would have been like, oh, I mean, I knew in my, like because of the program that's going on, like, yes, this is going to be Jacob Fatu that's going to interfere in this match somewhere. But until they focus in on him, I wasn't 100% sure. Like, he was so fast across that screen. I was like, what the hell just happened? Because, I mean, Braun's moving at full speed. And this counter force just comes and just wastes him. And of course, it's Jacob Fatu, who then, they call the match off. Jacob Fatu gets Strowman into the ring. He does his moonsault, and then he goes to the back, and Solo's like, "You got to check in with us." He's like, "No, I don't have to check in with nobody." And Solo's like, "You need to watch how you talk to us." And he's like, "Here, just so you don't understand, like, I'm gonna make this clear. I'm gonna go and get the U.S. title with or without you, and it's none of your business, really." And I mean,
Okay.
yeah, like, I mean, what is Solo gonna say? No, and then get destroyed by this guy? Like,
Well, I'm still not even sure why they're still together.
yeah, yeah,
Like they got thoroughly and swiftly defeated.
yes,
What purpose does the new bloodline serve?
none.
There's no even actual bloodline anymore because Roman Reigns is just by himself.
Yeah, it's just
There's
him and
no
Heyman.
Jimmy. There's no Jay. It's just him and Heyman. There's no Solo. There's nobody.
No,
What purpose I mean, rechristen them if you want. I mean, that would you just if you give them a new name, it wipes the slate clean. That's all you need to do is give them a new name, but don't call them the Bloodline anymore because it doesn't make sense to.
yeah.
It doesn't. They
So,
lost that privilege when they got their rear ends handed to them by
yeah.
Roman and company.
So then we had a match. Well, we were supposed to have a match. We were supposed to have Charlotte Flair versus Michin. Naomi attacked Michin from behind during her entrance. B-Fab also got attacked. And then Jade Cargill ran down and kind of just drove Naomi away. And then she helped beat Fab to the back, but then Charlotte made her entrance, and Meacham was like, no, I can still have this match. But then Charlotte picks up the win on the injured Meacham. I'm not sure how this made anybody look stronger, because it didn't seem to. I really wasn't. It was just kind of slow, overall. Not what I would expect from the two of them. I mean, with Meacham having to play the injured angle, I get it, I guess, but I didn't really enjoy it. Then we go to a Naomi promo, or a vignette, I guess, because this is definitely pre-recorded, where she's basically playing into the heel thing. It was really good, but I don't know. It's just Naomi's been a face for so long. It's really hard for me to accept her as a heel.
I heard good things about it, but
It's very
I didn't
good.
get a
It
chance to
was
watch
very
the
good.
segment yet. What did she say?
She basically goes into like how she believes that attacking Jade was the right thing to do because she does the right thing to do, and how could she spend like 11 years or something like that being Bianca's tag partner and best friend, and then Jade shows up and suddenly it's her, and how could she replace her so quickly, and all this, and it she was like crying and stuff, and but then she was like, from now on you have to approach me with caution, and that kind of leans into her new gear, which has caution tape all over it. So
she Owen
yeah.
Hart?
Huh?
Is she Owen Hart?
Shoot, maybe.
Is she Jason Sensation impersonating Owen Hart?
Maybe. I don't know.
Either one of those is acceptable.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good promo. It just something's missing. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not down on it. I like it. There's just something. I feel like there should be another dimension to it or something. But this is definitely adding and helping this promo. But it's also, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my having a hard time accepting her as a heel because she has been a face forever. Like, she hasn't been a heel pretty much any time, So even when Jimmy was like at his heeliest of heel, his wife was a face, like, this is what it is. So then we got a match with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. This had gotten set up earlier in the night, just off of that initial promo. They then announced the match. It was pretty much a basic Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton match, and McIntyre got the win. I mean, I don't really have too many notes on, what happened during the match. Kevin Owens provided a distraction. So KO came out at some point, and McIntyre got the Claymore going. McIntyre's fun to watch. Randy Orton's fun to watch. It was a good match. I don't know why they had. I mean, I guess Kevin Owens has his match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania, but just costing him this match and not actually getting physically involved or anything like that, I'm not really seeing how this really made sense in the build up to.
The most disappointing thing about it is this is just going to lead to another KO loss.
Yeah, probably.
Like, it sucks because KO is one of the most dependable, most well-rounded guys on that roster. He can do literally anything you ask him to do, and this heel turn made a lot of. It was probably one of the better heel turns in recent memory in WWE because it made a lot of sense, and he was justified in a lot of the ways that he felt. But like, he's gonna wind up with nothing on the end of it because he lost to Cody several times. He's gonna lose to Randy. What does he gain from? And then what does he gain?
Yeah,
He doesn't gain anything. He just probably goes back to mid card purgatory.
Yeah,
Like, this is Kevin Owens we're talking about. This is a guy who should have been a perennial main eventer based on his ability to sell you on anything. That by itself is so valuable. Not to mention his in-ring work, which is believable and interesting, and like they keep doing my boy dirty. It makes me so sad
Yeah.
because I've met Kevin Owens a couple of times on indie shows, and he is the nicest guy. Like he's the best dude. Like he doesn't suffer any fools, but he's like the best freaking dude. And like it makes me so sad because it doesn't appear like they actually really value him to what he's worth, you know?
Yeah.
And there are tons of talented guys on this roster. I don't mean to, say that you know, he's the only one deserving of anything. But like this is the second ever Universal Champion who helped balance and establish it and bring some stability to the belt. And then you have him job out to Goldberg in like 3 minutes, and it was only that long because of like some shenanigans, some showmanship stuff. And then he just got speared and jackhammered, and that was it. And he never sniffed another world title again. This was in 2017. What are we doing? This guy is so deserving of everything. And they, for some reason, do not value him the way that they should. It made me so sad when I heard that he re-signed with WWE. I mean, not that AEW really has the room on their roster depth either, but at least then you could have him reunite with the Young Bucks and have them do a whole bunch of funny stuff, because they're friends from way back. Their stuff in PWG is hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. If you've never seen it, go look it up. The Mount Rushmore of wrestling with the Young Bucks, Kevin Steen, and Adam Cole. They were absolutely on fire, and they were absolutely hysterically funny. And like, but at least I feel like, you know, good for him. He got the bag, but I feel like he's only ever going to be seen as the utility guy and maybe occasional main eventer, and they're never going to strap him up again. And it's so sad because he definitely deserves that.
Yeah. Well, then we had our last match of the night. What because it really wasn't the main event and closed the show out. But we had so earlier, Jimmy Uso had talked to one of the backstage interviewers about um, his brother and Gunther and all that stuff, and then he comes across the Miz, and the Miz is making fun of Jay and saying that Gunther's gonna kick Jimmy's ass and all this stuff, and Jimmy's like, "I'll slap you too," and then like goes and makes him flinch basically and does all that. And he's like, but you know what? Since you want to talk all that smack, I'll go and talk to all this and see if we can't get a match going. And so they make a match, and it's actually pretty quick. Jimmy Uso beats the snot out of the Miz and Uso splash, and it's over. Pretty much, that's it.
Send the crowd home happy.
Yeah, basically. But then we get our contract signing for the the three-way match between Seth and Roman and Punk. And Roman comes out and the crowd's doing Roman Reigns. I mean, this is the end of the show, 3 hours in, and they are just in it still. And even Paul Heyman gets on the mic and does the Roman Reigns thing. It was just pretty funny. And then
always looking to do something different.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah. So then Seth Rollins shows up and he's wearing like a bright like purple paisley suit, so he's the neon hippie this week.
Okay.
And but he comes into the ring and immediately goes into the spiel that he's had for the same like 3 or 4 weeks for the last, I hate CM Punk. You allowed him to exist here, blah blah blah, and just like blaming it on Roman, basically. I guess. Um, Even though
Did he have anything to do?
I don't know, he's blaming Roman for part of this,
Seth.
and he hates CM Punk, and it's just Seth's part in this. This really isn't making a lot of sense. But then CM Punk comes out and he starts going through the contract, and the other two have signed it, and uh, they're like, Roman's like, what you want's on page 4, and so he goes in there, and he's on page 4, and Paul Heyman gets on the mic, and he's like, look, what you want is in there, page 4. You will be main eventing WrestleMania. This is what you've wanted always, and they hug, and like CM Punk has real tears, and then Seth Rollins is like, no, wipe those tears out of your eyes. You don't deserve this. And begins throwing a basically jumping up and down child tantrum immediately. And Roman's just laughing at him, basically.
Becky, come get your husband.
Yeah, come get your mans. But then Seth is like, this is the favorite. This is what he gets, blah, blah. This is all your fault. And yelling at Roman and Paul Heyman. And then Roman's laughing and stuff. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And then Punk picks up the mic. He's like, and that's not even the favor. And drops the mic. And that's how the show ends. So,
all right.
He gets his main event match at WrestleMania in the contract. And that's still not the favor that Paul Heyman owes him. Now I really want to know what the favor is.
I bet it's something. Wouldn't it be great if it was just something innocuous, but he's making Paul swear to secrecy about what it is, just so it gets in Roman's head about what it is?
Yeah.
Like, what if it's not about Roman at all?
Yeah, what if it isn't?
Oh, I want ice cream bars. Hook me up with ice cream bars for the whole stadium.
Yeah.
I think that'd be. It's not going to happen. It's going to be something more serious than that. But it's probably going to be him either costing him the match or coming to the ring with him instead of Roman or something like that. Which in and of itself is dumb. But you're going to come out with him to one match so you can win at one match where there's no title on the line. There's nothing but getting one up on guys that you already beat years ago when it was 3-on-1.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta say, like, hearing some of the build up to this WrestleMania, a lot of it doesn't make much sense. Like,
they definitely have some holes to fill.
That match will slap.
Okay? Oh yeah,
the match itself will be great.
Yeah,
because how can it not be with the people involved? But like. But even then, maybe it won't. Because guess what? I remember sitting through a main event match of Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns, and that was a snooze fest. People were leaving the arena early. People were standing up and turning their backs on it. So maybe I should never. I should know better. I should never say, "Oh, this is a guaranteed." No, it's not guaranteed. It's likely. It's very likely. It's not a guarantee.
No, there are no guarantees. Not in wrestling.
God, no.
No.
There are, however, guarantees, which apparently is a different thing.
Yeah, it is. But that was SmackDown. It was pretty good. They're still. It seems like they're still filling some holes, and hopefully they continue filling holes and not just let things ride the way they are, because they definitely have some more holes to fill before we can get to WrestleMania and everything makes sense. But other than that, it was a pretty good show. The wrestling contained therein was pretty good. And kind of a general lack of the offensive material. There were, no Grande Americano, no Logan Paul, no right-wing influencers, like nothing weird. So
yeah,
a little bit easier to stomach this one and a little bit easier to sit and actually watch it. So, points for that. And the London crowd also easily giving the Glasgow crowd a run for their money as far as loudness and length of chants, and
Oh,
complete
did you
inability
think
to
the
do
English
in-ring
were gonna let the
segments.
Scottish take all of their
No, of
thunder? No
course not.
way.
No way. But
They're
yeah,
all Brits, but they are still very tribal.
yeah, 3 hours of constant chanting and singing. So, good on them for helping keep things hype. But yeah, other than that, that was it. So I think it's time for the hot tag.
All right. Hot tag coming at you. All right. So, hot tag is the second edition of AEW Collision this week from March 29th. They are from Milwaukee. And she opens up with my girl Tony Storm. She comes to the ring really quickly, looking like Rosie the Riveter, and she calls out Megan Bain, but she doesn't show up. So instead, she takes the spotlight. All the lights are off except for the spotlight in the middle, and then she's like, she cuts this promo. She cuts this promo about losing that tag match earlier this week, and then having a really bad night and waking up in comedic fashion and then realizing who she was. And it's like, you know what? I'm timeless Tony Storm. And let's just say she's going to take certain body parts of Megan Baines and put them in her purse. And she does this spot where she's going right to the camera who's on the apron. And as she's cutting the promo, she's ending the promo. Penelope Ford comes out of the frame out of nowhere and just kicks her face right off, and then grins right in the camera. It was unexpected. It was great. I
Yeah, it
loved
was
it.
awesome.
She goes in there. She beats her up a little bit, but Tony makes her come back, and that's when Bane comes out of nowhere with a flying clothesline. Hits her with a face descent, which she, whether the first time was an accident or not, the second time proves that she decided to go with it, because the face descent, now she's going down forward with it, and going down on one knee. So I like, whether it was intentional at first or not, I'm glad she's going with it because it looks great this way. She tells her to bow down by yelling in her face about it, and then we go on to the next segment. Uh, Death Rider's there. Claudio issues the challenge to Cope, just like Wheeler's going to face Dax later tonight. Moxley also goes on to say that there are only three women he fears: his mother, his wife, and his sister. And that was until he met Marina Shafir. uh, Shafir says she's going to rip Willow's liver out because there's been uh, they in the interim, in the intervening time, they made a tag match for Dynamite, mixed tag, Swerve and Willow versus Mox and Shafir. And yeah, Shafir says she says something in Moldovan, and then she says she's gonna rip Willow's liver out and force feed it to her. And Moxley gets this look on his face like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, calm down. This is the guy who had nails pulling at his flesh last week on live television, and he's like, man, that might be a little extreme, Marina.
See,
Like,
okay.
it's so funny. It was fun. I love how Mox put her over. Like, I love that he did that. Like, he's very, when he puts somebody over, he is very gracious about it, whether it's verbally or in the ring. He's very, very good about it. It's something that doesn't get talked about a lot because normally he's booked to be this, like, you know pain adjacent juggernaut. Like, he just doesn't feel pain, and he just mows through everybody generally. But that's something that people don't like. When he puts somebody over, it means something.
Yeah,
Eddie Kingston really benefited from being put over, for example. So
yeah. But this shows me who the big bad in AEW is, and it's Renee,
it's
because
Renee Young,
Renee can stop this.
Renee Paquette.
If he's afraid of her, she can stop this. All she would have to do is say, you know what, yeah, pull that title out of there, apologize, and
Kiss it.
go get in the corner.
Apologize.
Go get in the corner.
She
she can stop
chooses
this.
not to, though.
Yeah, but she's not doing anything about it. So Renee is the villain of AEW.
You know what? Swerve should bring that up.
He should.
Swerve should bring that up, and Moxley should get irate about it. Don't you
Hmm.
dare touch my wife. Don't you dare get in my wife's face like that. Don't you dare do that. You want to make it personal. You want to see them tear each other apart. That's the way to do it. And it makes sense
Yes. Makes
because
sense.
you are absolutely right. She could put a stop to all of this if he really does fear her. But her tacit acceptance of it implies that not only she's uh not taking sides. She is actively letting Mox do all this.
Yes.
She's encouraging it. She's supporting it. So yeah, no, I like your theory. It holds up to scrutiny.
Yeah.
I hate it because I love Renee. Everybody loves Renee. It's impossible to hate Renee, but like she's responsible for this.
Yeah.
She's responsible for all this. Damn you, Renee. You broke my heart. But then we go on to the first match of the night, which was Jay White, who on Dynamite, I forgot to mention, had put out an open challenge. Uh, because he was saying uh, everybody's putting their name in for the Owen, and I just, if anybody thinks that they deserve to be in it more than me, they're willing to, if they're willing to step up and take it from me, I'll cede my spot. And
Yeah.
so we get the probably not debuting, but it probably wasn't made a big deal of in his other appearances. But Kevin Knight, who after the match, it was revealed that he was signed to
Mhm.
AEW. He was made all elite. He got a graphic and everything. Uh, RJ says still doesn't have a graphic though. Tony, get on it. Get
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
it. I mean, knowing RJ, he probably enjoys not having one so that he can complain about not having one. He probably likes having the running joke, honestly. But anyway, it was Kevin Knight, who I guess has done some stuff for New Japan Strong. He trained in their LA dojo. Uh, this was more competitive than you might think for a debuting guy that like nobody but the most probably avid watchers of New Japan have ever heard of. Um, I will say like I won't say like he's super duper impressed me. Like there's nothing like super duper special about the guy so far as I can see. Dude has hops though. Holy cow. He goes for a drop kick at one point and both his feet go over Jay White's head. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. This dude is NBA level hooping right here. um he also does a cool like um running frog splash that he like turns in midair that he calls the UFO splash. I kind of dig that. That looked good. He's got
Yeah, it was
great
cool.
form on it. Um, but in the end, it was kind of academic. Jay White gives him a lot, makes it competitive, but eventually he hits him with the reverse STO, German suplex, Uranage, Blade Runner, boom, 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 boom. Uh, White gets on the mic after that and sings his praises. The crowd is super behind Kevin Knight as well. Like this crowd was hot, but they really loved this Kevin Knight guy. They liked what they saw. Good for them. Um, to the point where it looked like they were preventing Jay White from actually continuing his promo. Uh, but he got a round of applause. He says that uh, White won't win the Open, but he'll see him. We're going to see a lot more of him in AEW, which was the prelude to them telling you that he was all elite. King Switch goes on to he says all of his catchphrases, he does all of his nicknames and everything. He says he needs the world. He insists that he needs the AEW World Championship. So there's that. Uh, like I've come around on Jay White, but I mean some of the other guy, I would not put him number one on my desires to see win the Owen. Hangers in there and Ospreys in there. That puts Jay White at number 3 at best for me. Um, but it's good that he'll be in it for sure because I mean he will definitely elevate it.
Yeah.
Um, Recap of MJF throwing out the first pitch at the Texas Rangers game. He makes sure, I don't think he knows how networking works because he for people he's trying to ingratiate himself with, he just can't help but take shots at. Like he says, Bobby Lashley lives in Texas, but they actually begged MJF to throw out the first pitch instead of Bobby Lashley. Just thought I'd throw that in there. It's like you want him to accept you into the fold, dude. It's not You're not gonna do that by making him mad.
Yeah.
And why would anybody want to make Bobby Lashley mad? That's so stupid. It's so stupid. MJF, you are so stupid.
What are you doing?
Oh,
Stop.
trolls are. I mean, trolls always get what's coming to Mizzou, so I'm sure that Bobby Lashley is gonna have his day with him at some point. Probably not for a while, but someday. And match number 2 is Mercedes Moné non-title match versus Robin Renegade, who I haven't seen on AEW TV in quite some time. Good. I think Charlotte is still injured, but I think she's close to returning. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I heard that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a decent little match. Nothing like super special, but Robin gets some licks in there. Monet has proven that she's more than willing to sell her opponent's offense, which is good because when you're usually the smaller person in the ring, it doesn't make sense for you not to. Uh, Honestly, I think we found her impact finisher, her new impact finisher that she should use, and it's that tombstone into the lung blower. That's what she should use. If she
Yeah.
can lift the lady up, that's what she should use because that looks great.
Yeah. It was.
Uh,
It was nasty.
that looks real good, and she should use that if she can. I mean, she did use the moneymaker, but she turned it right into the statement maker for the tap out to finish this. So
Yeah.
if it didn't end the match, I guess that's a baby step in the right direction. Tony Schiavone comes into the ring afterwards, said that Mercedes wanted the mic after the match. Robin Renegade still conspicuously in the ring throughout this whole thing. Mercedes says that she's gonna throw her name into the Owen Hart card, so she's already a title holder, and she's throwing her name in there. So you know that they're taking the women's side just as seriously as the men's side. Both these things are gonna be stacked, and it's great.
Yeah.
Uh, she says that she wants people to stop talking about Billy Starks, though, and she runs down. Oh, whoever trained Billy is just she's just awful. And then Athena, we finally get Athena back on AEW television for the first time in like 2 years. Like it was so good, and she was over. Crowd knew who she was. They recognized her. She was there with her special like spinner belt in addition to her normal or actual title belt. That she got for breaking the record of longest Ring of Honor champion in history. Longer than Samoa. She is now, male or female, the longest running champion in Ring of Honor history. So she's out there, and they jack jaws, and then it looks like it looks like it's gonna end amicably, and then Mercedes tries to hit her Athena from behind with the TBS title belt, but misses and gets a little bit beat up. She goes for the Eclipse, but Robin, who had been complimented after the match in Mercedes' spiel, saves Mercedes from getting the Eclipse and takes the bullet for her. So I'm wondering if maybe Mercedes is going to have a little entourage around her with the Renegade twins, maybe some proteges, which I wouldn't hate. Those two have been, man, on the undercard of the lower of like Dark and Elevation and Rampage and stuff like that, looking at the lights for like 3-4 years now.
Yeah.
Let's get them on TV. Let's get them on TV. let's put them together as a tag team for that tag team division that they are building. I'm pretty sure of it. Um, by the way, that was the scuttlebutt on Blue Sky all week, and I'm like I've been talking about this for over like 2 months now. How they're
Yeah.
silently building a tag team division so that when they introduce the belts, you have established teams now. And how is everybody else only just figuring this out now? Like, I'm not that smart. Like,
No, it was pretty
I'm
obvious.
really not. Like, it was pretty obvious to me. So, but yeah, like I feel like that's a good spot for them. Giving her minions now extends the length of her title reign I mean, this she's been champion for a year now, and she hasn't had. I mean, she kind of had Camille there for a little bit, but giving her minions to run interference for her now extends it to the point where she can still do it, and she can make it to All In as champion believably, and it still feels fresh when she has interference, as opposed to, like, for example, the Bloodline, when every single Roman Reigns match ended with a freaking everybody in the Bloodline coming in. It's like you could just set your watch by it.
Yeah.
This, by the time you get to All Out with those two, whether whether it's in a singles match for the TBS title or in what somebody on Blue Sky proposed that I kind of dig too, in a 3-way where all the belts are on the line against Tony. Either way, when the Renegade Twins involve themselves in that, it won't feel like it's worn out its welcome yet.
Yeah.
Which is important for your biggest show of the year. So I feel like if you were going to drop that on them, now is a perfect time to do that. You can wring a couple of months out of that without it getting overplayed. Queen Aminata is not medically cleared due to a wrist injury she suffered against Julia Hart. She was originally slated to face Jamie Hayter. Billy Starks is taking her place, but Queenie's still here. She still showed up for work, even though she's not cleared. And she's confronted by Serena Deeb. It's like, yeah, look at that. You follow my advice, you win. You don't follow my advice, you lose, and you get injured. How about that? Queenie's still not having it. She's like, ugh, I choose not to listen to you. This is trash, whatever. But Deeb gives her basically like one last shot. She's like, you know what? It looks like you're gonna have a couple of weeks off to think about it. Here, and she gives her the note, the binder from a couple of weeks ago with her 1,000 holds in it and whatever. Here's some reading material since you're gonna have a lot of time on your hands. And she doesn't refuse the book. So I still think that even though she currently is resisting Deeb's advances to incorporate her into her dojo, I think eventually she is going to side with Serena. I think, and guess what? Another tag team. Boom! Look at that. Match number 3. Top Flight faces the Learning Tree. The Learning Tree was told, win a match, so they went out and challenged Top Flight. This was fun. A little weird. They didn't really have like chemistry off the bat, but they got there eventually. Big Bill was doing Big Bill things, and I think Dante saw the match that Kevin Knight had with Jay White earlier, where he hit that ludicrous drop kick, and he's like, no. I'm the guy with the hops around here. I think he took that as a challenge because at one point, as he was trying to get back to the corner to tag Darius, he leapfrogs Big Bill. Jeez. Good Lord. I cannot, dominance asserted, Dante. Gosh. I mean, and I don't recall Big Bill ducking for him or anything. He just vaulted right over the dude. That's seven. That man is 7 feet tall. You can't teach that. Like it was to me like it was it's so dumb. But to me, that was the highlight of the match. I'm like, that was insane. It wasn't a move. It wasn't an offensive attack. It wasn't a clever strategy. It was just a physical feat that is just mind-boggling to me. I couldn't even begin to describe the look on my face that I had when I saw it happen. Um, uh, let's see. Dante is the one who gets pinned here. He gets beat the crap up. Avalanche in the corner, knee to the face by Keith. Enormous choke slam by Big Bill. Darius is on the outside. He'd gotten slammed into the LED board. He was not helping out. Layla Gray, was here for this match, but not for their match 2 days earlier for some reason. I don't know. She was no help. Rarely is. Like, I don't. What is she there for? Like, I've seen her wrestle. She's actually pretty decent as a wrestler. What does she add to Top Flight? She's not even wearing the stewardess outfit anymore, like, for the theme. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm glad she's on TV, but, like, is she adding anything to the equation?
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know. After that, Leo Rush and Action Andretti hit the ring. They're going to choke him with the chains again, but AR Fox appears out of nowhere to make the save. This will be important later.
Yeah.
Jamie Hayter is getting interviewed by Lexi Nair. She says she respects Billy Starks, but she's going to knock her out, and she enters herself in the Owen Hart tournament. This is her first time in 2 months. She's been on TV 2 or 3 months. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was visa trouble. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's back. I miss Jamie Hayter. In the ring, Undisputed Kingdom is there. Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard are there. No Cool Hand Ange. I assume he's being, super dad right now, so he's only going to show up when he needs to, I guess. Yeah. But also, how's it the Undisputed Kingdom without the Kingdom? Where are Mike Bennett and Matt Taven?
I don't know.
They disappeared. They just vanished into thin air as soon as Adam Cole, and Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy Strong, they all made up or whatever. All of a sudden, the Kingdom part of the Undisputed Kingdom just disappeared. And then I hear that Maria Kanellis is closing up with the company, which I assume means that they probably all got signed at the same time. So I assume that they're all gone. And I'm like, what? How? Why? How? Like, why?
Yeah.
It very, no explanation, nothing. Like, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett were instrumental in all of this Adam Cole MJF stuff. They were probably the backbone of that whole thing, especially when Adam Cole was injured.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, no explanation, no TV write-off, no nothing. They just disappear.
I guess so.
Unreal. Well, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this about Matt Taven, but I'm gonna miss him. But yeah, they get kind of heated, and but the gist of it is TNT title match, Adam Cole versus Daniel Garcia 3. There will be a winner. There's nobody at ringside. There's no time limit, nothing. Which means, I hope you know what that means, Tony Khan, that it needs to go over 20 minutes. Because there's no point in having a no time limit stipulation if it doesn't go past the time limit that would already be there.
Yep.
no point.
Yeah.
So it had better go past the 20-minute mark. But yeah, I still think that there's probably going to be some shenanigans. I got a gut feeling that there's going to be something going on, either whether it's outside interference or not. I don't think both of them are leaving baby faces after this. I think somebody pulls a heel move and turns, or
Yeah.
at least starts a turn. I'm not even sure which one it is. Although if I had to put money on it, I'd say Cole.
Probably.
Um, but yeah, um, Athena cuts a great promo in the back where she passive aggressively uh, tells Billy Starks to go out there and impress her. She'll probably, you'll probably let me down some way, but go out there and give it your best. You're forever ROH World Champion, because she is a heel. She's getting cheered because she's amazing, but she is playing a heel right now, so she's
Yeah.
gonna be a jerk. And Athena says she's gonna be in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament too. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Match number 4: Wheeler Yuta versus Dax Harwood. As soon as you see Dax Harwood in a singles match, you know he's gonna lose. So, like the dude just the only singles match I've ever seen him win was against Cash Wheeler. So, like, I mean, that's basically like not even a win at that point, because Cash has even fewer singles matches than Dax, but it's the same story. you see him in a you see him in a singles match, it's not gonna happen. They
Yeah.
can't win unless they're a tag team. Uh, but yeah, the story of the match was Dax was getting super duper emotional, and Wheeler was being a scumbag, but keeping a level head. And he rolls him up with a seatbelt to win out of nowhere. It was really kind of anticlimactic. It was like, oh, that happened. Oh, all right. But he goes off and he celebrates with one of his wrestle dads in the crowd, and Dax puts his hands on the official, insisting that it was only a 2 count. And then a whole bunch of security and referees come out to like kind of overdo it, really, and like push him back into a corner as if he was like, I mean, I'm just gonna say it, as if he was getting, a black guy in the 1992 riots getting attacked by the police in LA. Like, it was overdoing it. Like, it was, they were pushing, there were like 6 of them, and they were like pushing him up against the corner, and he didn't even hit anybody. Like, he didn't even do anything, really. Like, he grabbed his shirt, but it was like, what are we even doing here? So Cash comes out, and he protects his friend, he peels off everybody, and then Dax turns around and shoves him to the ground because he doesn't realize who it is. And then Cash gets all mopey about it because nobody in wrestling can tell when an accident has happened.
That's
It's one
not
of my
how it
least
works.
favorite tropes in wrestling. It's like, clearly this is an accident. Why are you being such a pansy about it? It's one of my least favorite tropes in wrestling. Everything is a tragic misunderstanding, and nobody believes anybody is sorry.
Right.
Like, why? It's so silly. Also silly, I don't want to see FTR break up. That
No,
doesn't interest me in the slightest.
not even a little
That
bit.
makes me real sad. What I want them to do, and what I hope that they do, is pull a New Day and have them be have Cope come between them and have them turn on Cope. Cope is Big E in this situation,
Yep.
except they can beat up Cope.
Yeah.
So I hope that's what happens, and they turn heel and reestablish themselves as a dominant tag team, because I truly do believe that FTR is the best tag team that I've ever seen in my entire life, and that is a 40-year life. So it's a lot to cover.
Yep.
Um, I would never want them to break up. I don't see any benefit in breaking them up at all. Zero.
No.
You can tease this dissension stuff all you want. That's fine. I don't care about that, as long as they don't break up in the end. I don't want them to break up. I hate that
Yeah.
idea. I do like the idea of them turning on Cope, though. So I'm hoping it goes in that direction.
Yeah.
Um, Alicia 2 is back there in the back with Patriarchy, minus Christian Cage, as everybody else. But she's about to interview Nick Wayne, and remember what I said earlier? Crew rolls up, and they're like, "Hey, what's up with AR Fox? He's your boy, right?" It's like, he's not my boy. He he tried to end my career before it started with Swerve Strickland, and also I settled that beef. It's behind me. But for some reason, Action Andretti and Leo Rush still want to make it a thing. So it's like, well, there's three of them, and we could use another guy. So think about it, because he's I don't know, like it. I don't mind the idea of putting Nick Wayne with those guys. What I do mind is that Crew just came off dumb. Like they just came off real dumb. Like
Yeah.
he told you it's done. He considers it buried. He has no reason. He has no reason to team up with you. Give him some actual incentive, even if it's just money. If you pay him to back you up, who cares? That's better than, oh, you remember this guy who you settled things with before? Yeah, he's bugging us, so we're gonna need you to. He's your responsibility now. That
Yeah.
doesn't make any damn sense.
No.
Makes no sense.
No.
You know
Not
what
at
does
all.
make sense though? Hologram versus Blake Christian. Much longer match than Blake's earlier match this week with Kenny. And I would argue better because of it, because they had more time to do stuff. It was a much more even match. Uh, Blake really got to show his stuff here. He got some good heat from the crowd. I mean, ultimately he loses to the Portal Bomb, and he got spun around for what seemed like forever. Too.
Yeah.
But I was really glad for Blake Christian getting this chance to show up and show out this week, because the dude clearly has been putting in the work, and it's good to see. Good to see. And with this win, Hologram is 22-0. You might want to start thinking about having him contend for a belt at some point,
Yeah.
because with that kind of winning streak, nobody has that kind of winning streak. Mercedes doesn't even have that. Like she's what? She's off by like 10 matches.
Yeah. Something like
Seven,
that.
10 matches, something like that. Um so I feel like you gotta maybe make him the next challenger for the TNT title.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good place to put him. Or if you're really serious about the tag team with Commander, I mean, put them in more tag team matches and see them go up the card. Have them face the Hurt Syndicate and probably lose at some point. I mean, the good thing about that is whenever you put that match on, people are going to be like, ooh, the baby faces have a chance because Hologram hasn't been beaten yet
Yeah.
in any capacity. So, do they keep the streak alive, or do they have the first loss be in the tag team title match? You could do that, and there would be genuine interest, I think, because winning streaks have that effect.
Yeah.
Lexi Nares with Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander. Both are going to be in the Owen Hart Cup, and there's some friction there, but it's friendly competition, which is a change from how everybody else is treating it. So I like the presentation there. Like, see you in the finals. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's cool. Match again, two shows in a row where the women are main eventing. Returning Jamie Hayter takes on Billy Starks, and like Hayter looked great, Billy looked great, and Hayter actually debuts a new version of the Haterade, which I loved. I absolutely loved her trapping the arm and then bouncing off the second rope to hit her with the lariat. Like
Yeah. That was good.
I feel like that should be the finisher. and then you could make a near fall out of the normal haterade. It's like if you want that way, like you can have a close near fall because people have been beat. Many people have been beaten by the normal haterade. Many people have, so that's ultimately believable. But if you make that the near fall spot, that's still means that you have a protected actual finisher that nobody other else kicks out of. I like I like protecting finishers in the land of everybody kicks out of everything. So no, I love that. I don't think there's anybody that Billy Starks doesn't have chemistry with.
Yeah,
I thought
this
this
was
was a
really
great,
good.
absolutely worthy main event. Um, and then afterwards, Athena comes out and she just jacks draws with Hater, so she's making friends everywhere. But yeah, like the women really showed up and showed out this week. It's a much welcome change from the past. I mean, there were two women's matches on this show. It was a much welcome change from even a month ago when we were still bemoaning the lack of women on the shows. Like this is a really nice welcome change that I hope they keep up
Yeah, me too.
because you put them in that spot and they're going to deliver. They prove it every single time. Every time. They are the most dependable, probably the most dependable women's division of anybody. Like you probably, you know, the history is there with TNA/Impact, and the roster depth is there with WWE. But when you're talking about dependability and you putting them in a spot and them delivering, I don't. I would definitely put AEW's women's roster up there against anybody's.
Yeah, they're yeah, yeah, I would too.
It took them a while to get there. To be
Hmm.
real, being real, just being real. It was a slow building process, but man, they are in a really good spot and looking to be in an even better spot if this is momentum that's going to carry towards something. And I
Yeah,
hope it is.
yeah, I hope so too.
But yeah, that was Collision. Another pretty good night. Like again, another kind of, if you want to call it a B show, kind of a B show. None of the huge stars were there to do, to wrestle. But I mean, I tell you, the wrestling we did get was good. They moved, and they're starting to actually move storylines and introduce storylines and move them along on Collision now and not just Dynamite. So I'd say that little bit by little bit, we're AEW's crawling out of the hole that it wound itself up and wound itself in for most of 2023 and most of 2024. To be real, like I was still a fan, but it was not what it could have been.
Yeah,
And now it looks like we're going to be in a really good position, at least for a
yeah,
fan with my tastes. I can't speak for anybody else's, but you know what? Y'all can let us know by hitting us up on our socials. What do you think?
yeah,
What do you think about it? Do you have a different opinion? Do you agree with us? Do you have some wild take that's going to take us on a completely different tangent here? Let us know.
yeah. We'll definitely talk about it.
For sure. We're terminally online. We would be glad to discuss anything with anybody,
Yep.
as long as you come in with good faith. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is the hot tag. So, what's left for us to do, Aaron?
Well, that's time for us to do it like the pros do and call it in the ring.
Damn straight. So, for our Call It in the Ring segment, I feel like that's, the fact that we were treated to two women's main events in AEW this week actually lends itself quite well as a segue, because earlier this week, and it flew under a lot of people's radar, but earlier this week, uh, it came out that WWE was planning on holding a second Evolution pay per view, presumably in June. And this was, I don't know why more people didn't pay attention to it. Maybe it was just because it was on Tuesday and so much happens in a week in the wrestling industry that stuff gets buried. It's like flooding the zone, right? You flood the zone with everything, and inevitably stuff gets buried. But I took particular interest in this because I went to the first Evolution pay-per-view in 2018. And it was a great show. It was a fantastic show. One of the better pay-per-views I've been to, actually. It was better than most of the WrestleManias I went to. I can tell you that much. Um, but yeah, I wanted to talk about uh, not only the show that I went to, but what the kind of implications and other things surrounding what a new one might entail, and the questions surrounding that, and the all this kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, the show was great. I went with my wife. My son was what, 4 months old maybe at the time, and so it was kind of his first night, kind of leaving him with my parents overnight. Like it was kind of like it was a big deal because we still had to travel 3 hours to get to Long Island and stay overnight there, and it was fun. Like I have a lot of cool memories from that. Getting to the hotel, we saw Brock Lesnar guy. He was at the same hotel. That was interesting. He was taking pictures with a bunch of fans, like people were recognizing him and coming up and stuff like that. It was rumored that we were actually at the Talent Hotel, but that was never confirmed. We never saw any WWE superstar at that hotel, so I want to say that that was probably false information. But we got there, and okay, so I didn't watch this show, the broadcast version of it, until I knew we were going to be talking about this, because I went there, I saw it, I experienced it. I didn't need to go back and hear Michael Cole's commentary, you know. But I decided for the sake of this segment that I would watch it, and one thing or a few things immediately stood out to me. Number one, Michael Cole kept insisting on commentary that the show was sold out. That was not the case. I can tell you that right now. There were empty seats. We were on hard camera side, and we could see across, and there were plenty of empty seats on the other side. It it wasn't as bad as some of the Dynamite or Collision tapings from last year, in terms of empty seats, but it was pretty comparable. Like if you showed that and kept out all the WWE logos and stuff like that, and you put that on Twitter, and you claimed that that was the Collision taping, you would get a whole bunch of WWE Fed heads who would jump on that. It's like, oh, see, they're in the dirt. It's like this was a WWE show from 2018. Are WWE in the dirt right now? Get over yourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he insisted on calling it a sold out show. I'm like, I know that was not true. I saw all the empty seats. Like, I don't care if I, they may have been paid for. I don't know, but that was a lot of empty seats for it to be considered sold out. Like, if there were just a couple here and there, I would be like, okay, well, maybe people bought tickets and couldn't come to the show and they couldn't find anybody to take the tickets off them. But no, there were like whole rows empty. Um, Second thing was we had pretty good seats, but I didn't find this out until after the show, but one of my friends was actually there. Well, friend of a friend was actually there in attendance, a few rows behind us. Never saw them. Never even realized they were there. Uh, it was Alex. It was Alex Sardi actually. But who I know through George, and through weird alternate methods of just being in the entertainment industry. But small world, guys. But yeah, he was there with his. I don't know if they were married yet, but they were there, and I never realized it. And then he got at me on Facebook. The next few days later, I was like, "Dude, you were there. You should have come and said something." I was like, "I didn't know where you were. I didn't know you were even there." The show was great though. It opened the dark. There was a dark match. Rhea Ripley defended her NXT UK Women's title against Dakota Kai. It was. I don't remember too much of it. It was cool. She was just kind of starting to become the Rhea Ripley that we would know and come to know. Like she wasn't like she was dressing more in leather, but not quite in the fetish gear. Her hair was really short. Uh, but she beat Dakota Kai in about 4 minutes. Show opens up, really really hot with Trish Stratus and Lita versus Mickey James and Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox was actually a substitute for Alexa Bliss, who was injured. Um, I remember the crowd being super into this because it was Trish and Lita. Like, how
Yeah.
could you not be? Like, we were very forgiving too. There are multiple like very obvious missteps in that match, mostly from Lita, really. But like it was we forgave it all because it was Trish and Lita. Like it was it was that nostalgia pop. You can kind of wipe away a lot when you're looking at stuff through nostalgia glasses. Um, then I remember this battle royal, but it actually benefited from being on watching it on TV. Like watching it back a couple of days ago, I realized that this was a really, really fun battle royal with a lot of moving parts, a lot going through it. I popped huge for Molly Holly and Ivory, who are in there, especially Ivory, who was like one of the final five of that. Uh, I was upset to see Nia Jax win because I was big. Tracy, especially, was a big Ember Moon fan, so she's excited that Athena is back too in AEW. But like back then, it was like they were playing up that they were friends and everything. And then I'd forgotten that Nia Jax won this match and that it was for a future title shot. Everything about this match kind of evaporates because of the aftermath of this show, which is so funny to me. The next one was Mae Young Classic Tournament Final. Tony Storm beat Io Shirai, now known as Io Sky. I was a huge Tony Storm fan from even back then. She was what 22 here. Like they
Mm-hmm.
kept saying on, it was so funny too to hear the commentary. She's got star written all over her. She's going to be part of this business of WWE for years to come. And I'm like, wow, you have no idea how much is going to how true those words are, but also how much is going to change in the next 7 years. Like she's a completely different character now, not even in WWE, and doing some of the best character work on the planet right now. Incredible just to see the change in that. Next was Sasha Banks, Bailey, and Natalia. I forget why they teamed up with Natalia here, but they were against the Riot Squad, and I had forgotten that the Riot Squad was there that early. This is 2018. I thought they came along a little bit later, but nope. Ruby Riot, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan. This match was okay. I remember the crowd was. This was the point where the crowd was kind of falling asleep a little bit, which is a shame because it was a perfectly fine match, but it was nothing like. Looking back on it, it's like, man, I really wish that for their sake that Sasha and Bailey had gotten a better, more prominent space on the card, but whatever. And then the NXT Women's Championship defended for the first time on a WWE main roster pay per view. Shayna Baszler beat Kairi Sane. The crowd was really behind Kairi. They loved Kairi. She came out with the whole Pirate Princess thing with the title belt and the treasure chest. Everybody adored that, and they booed like crazy when Baszler won. Absolutely, just especially since this was the introduction of Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir to her posse in
Mm-hmm.
NXT.
Yeah.
They were there for a while. They didn't know who those ladies were, so they didn't really react to them when they interfered. But they hated the finish,
Yeah.
absolutely detested it in the way that you want them to. And then the best match of the night clearly was Last woman standing match, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Hearing the commentary, they were still trying to push Becky Lynch as the heel in this when nobody bought it. Nobody bought it.
No.
Nobody wanted that. Get that out of our face. I still, to this day, can't believe that Road Dogg actually thought that they were telling the story that he thought they were telling. Like, this is a guy who's running creative on SmackDown now in Hunter's absence. Like, he's like his number one lieutenant on SmackDown. And he couldn't even tell that they were setting the crowd up to cheer Becky Lynch over Charlotte instead of the other way around. Unbelievable that this guy is in charge. Dude has no clue. Nepotism at its finest, right there.
Yeah.
But this match was amazing. Everybody popped for they popped for the kendo stick. They popped for the ladders and the tables. They popped for then the finish where there's an audible gasp, and I'm pretty sure most of it's from my mouth that you can hear on the audio for the finish when Charlotte gets power bombed from the turnbuckles through a table on the floor for the finish. Like, everything about that match was fantastic, and everybody bought it. Crowd erupted for Becky when she was done. But I think the thing that stuck with me most about this card was that people were really invested in the main event when I was not, because it involved Nikki Bella, who I'm not a fan of. But like, it was this match that really opened up my eyes to how influential their forays into reality TV actually were, and how many fans they had actually made off the end of it, and how important they were to WWE history. I don't like that, but it is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fact. Like, the crowd was way more invested in this match than I was. Like, I was worried that they were going to give it to Nikki, because they always seem to go back to, the diva type.
Yeah.
And Ronda wasn't hated yet. She was still popular at this time. She was still very much with the crowd behind her. But this crowd was split. It wasn't because they disliked Ronda either. It's because a lot of them really liked Nikki for some godforsaken reason. But I don't understand it. But do you? But like, it was legitimately about 50-50. And I looked at Tracy and I was shocked, absolutely stunned. It's like, how are we surrounded by this many people who actually like her? I don't understand. I To this day I don't understand it. But there was that tension that made the match enjoyable. Like, in the end, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, Ronda won. I can breathe easy now. And you look back on the match, it's like, okay, well, then they did a good job at making me think that this could switch. So that message received, you know, uh, it was decent. Uh, what they didn't show us was the aftermath. They only showed that the next night on Raw. Or I think I found out later online when I went back to the hotel that they did that segment in the back with Ronda and Becky setting up a match between them at Survivor Series that we would never get, because Nia Jax just walloped Becky and broke her face open. So, like, it was then the crowd was so mad that we couldn't get Ronda and Becky that they actually cheered for her replacement Charlotte over Ronda at Survivor Series. That led to what I believe was a no contest after Charlotte just walloped Ronda with a kendo stick over and over and over
Yeah.
again, to the point where Ronda couldn't take it and she bowed to the pressure for them booing her, and they had to turn her heel.
Yeah.
Like, that was, no matter what anybody says, no matter what WWE rewrites as their history, that was never the plan. Ronda was always going to be a babyface in
Yeah.
their plans until she wasn't, until she couldn't be. So
Yeah.
all in all, it was like I said, all in all, the show top to bottom was good to great. And like there were no duds on this card. Not even the dark match was bad. It was serviceable, but it wasn't bad. Everything else was good to great. Like it was like the empty seats aside, I really felt like yes, coming out of that show, yes, this concept has legs and they should do one every year.
Yeah.
If not multiple pay-per-views for the women with different names every year, multiple times a year. So when the next October came around and there was nothing on the cards, there was nothing, no mention of Evolution, I was really, really disappointed. I was just like, oh man, that was a really good show. Why didn't we follow up on this? Like, I can't imagine it didn't. Like, it was during the network era, so I'm sure buy rate doesn't mean anything. But like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it was watched by people. Like,
Yeah.
how could they not follow up on that? So what does it say? 7 years later, that they're only now just getting around to another one.
Hmm. I
Like
mean,
that's where I want your thoughts. Like, I mean, you weren't there, so I had to talk all this time about my experience because I was the only one there. This is where I want to hear you talk, Aaron, because I've already spoken for way too long in this segment. And what does it say that it took them this long to finally get another Evolution pay per view?
I think I mean part of it can probably be put down to just the previous administration. But I think that maybe they should have I mean they definitely should have done this more often. I think it got a pretty overall positive response from the people who did watch it, and just the general vibe of the IWC at the time. They wanted this, and it was like one of the things that we were given that we actually wanted. So them not following up on it was just a misstep to me the whole time. Um, I am really excited to see that they're bringing it back. I think that um, especially here with us, we've been pushing really hard for more women's wrestling and more women featured on the shows, and um, I think both shows, both companies have um, kind of done what we're asking for. They're putting more women on the card. They're putting more women's stories into things week to week. You know, AEW looks like they're quietly building a women's tag division. They've already got two other women's titles. WWE, with the addition of their new mid card women's titles, is up to five, not counting the two in NXT, or I think they have a women's tag title down there too, maybe.
No, they
No.
merged that with the W. There's only the one tag
Oh
belt.
yeah, okay. But that's
They
two
did have
more.
their own tag belts for a little while, but they merged into it.
Yeah. So that's two more. That with the women's North American title and the women's world title down in NXT. So we've got like seven women's titles. Uh, so this literally could be an all title match show if they wanted to do it that way this time at Evolution. Um,
Especially since they're only doing like 4 or 5 matches a card anyway.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm just kind of glad they're doing it again. Um, I think the network era might have played a part in that. Like they were able to do it because they weren't risking anything because they had the network. But I think they didn't do it again because they didn't have like a measurable metrics to be like, okay, look, this is why we should do it again. Because they didn't have pay-per-view buys or anything like that they would normally use to justify, doing this pay-per-view again. Um so I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner. I don't know why they haven't done it year on year since they did the first one. Um but I think now their women's roster is super deep and they can kind of do this. I think maybe in the interim, they've been building a women's roster maybe to be able to do something like this because they have expanded their women's roster a lot in the last
Yeah.
few years. I mean, despite releases that have happened, they're still building the women's roster. I mean, it's huge. In NXT, I'm pretty sure NXT is mostly women on the roster. I think I think there's more of them than there are of the men. So, I mean, I think that's what's happening. I mean, we're building a bigger women's roster across that company, and I think now they can continually do stuff like this and make it worth it. I mean, they could probably justify doing an NXT version of this on their own, um, just because it wouldn't
Yeah, I think
be
there have
different,
been a
really.
couple of episodes that have been just women,
Yeah,
right?
there have been a couple where I mean, if it hasn't been just women, it's been like I watched maybe a few weeks ago. There was an episode where it was like 3 women's matches and 1 men's match, and that was it. Like like they just really heavily featured the women, and that's what was going on.
Yeah. I feel like it's a great thing that it's happening, but I feel like I don't know. Like almost feel like it shouldn't happen because if it does, like I mean, the the time to do another one was the year later.
Mm-hmm.
The second best time to do one is as soon as possible because the longer you go between them, the more you get questions like this, and the more you get people who are angry at it. Like I'm not angry at it, but like I could see other people being like, "Well, why wasn't this on the table before? Triple H has been in charge for 2 years now. What's the deal, bro? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you only thinking of this now?" Like I can see it coming from a mile away. The criticism,
Yeah.
because again, I am terminally online. I know the things that people ask, whether in good faith or not. But so like the fact that they're doing it as quickly as June, apparently, from what the sheets are saying, whether that's even true or not. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's a good thing, but it's also like, well, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? Like, I get not doing it in 2020. You try to limit what you do in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, uh, in the first half of 2021, but like that gets a pass because of the pandemic. But like everything else should have been fair game. Like I don't know. I hope that it's a great show, and I bet it will be. I bet it will be.
Yeah.
But it's just it makes me sad that they didn't think of this long before now. It's like, why are you just getting to it? Like it as much as they're featuring women, the way that they're doing this and they're kind of slapdashing it on is like, oh yeah, oh we forgot about this. Oh, let's do this again. It's kind of insulting in and of itself that they weren't in the interim period when their women's roster is only growing and growing to the point where they're main eventing WrestleManias and stuff like that. If you're main eventing WrestleMania, you should have all women's cards.
Yeah. For sure. I think
It's
so
just
too.
it.
Yeah.
Like, and so like it almost seems like this is like, okay, okay, we're gonna give it to you again. God, like they're mollifying somebody. Like I don't know. Maybe it's as much as we try to be positive on this broadcast, on this podcast. I will readily admit that it is not in my nature. It is me trying to improve myself that the positivity comes from. I am a cynic by nature, and this is where it's coming out. Like I want so desperately to believe that this is going to be the start of something that is running annually or 2 or 3 times a year under different names. I want to believe that. I want to believe that for the sake of the women, because with that roster depth, it is must be really, really hard to get any minutes on TV. So this kind of opportunity would force them to write more of those spots in for women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
But the cynic in me is like, no, this is to appease somebody, and then they're gonna let it go for another 7 years for some reason, and I don't know why.
yeah,
And it's like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
But like I'm really trying to fight my I wanted to say my inner demons, but I don't have any addiction issues. Uh, I want to fight my worst angels, I guess.
Yeah, see, like for me, I have more faith that Triple H will not let it go as long, um, for this to continue happening, or for more focus to be put on women, or for more events to be just women on the card. I have more
Yeah,
faith that he will do more of that than the previous administration would, but really, I mean, we can only kind of hold our breath and hope, and
yeah,
it's not like, like where, like, once Tony Khan does this once, it's gonna happen every year. It's gonna happen every year. He'll do it
yeah,
every year. Once he does it once, he loves being able to be like, we did this before, and now it's just gonna
yeah,
be bigger. Like, he loves doing that, and
yeah.
so,
Like it would not surprise me at all if we get a women's Continental Classic this year. I think it's in the cards. It would not surprise me at all
I
if it's
hope it
it's in the
is.
works right now.
I really hope it is. Just because I feel like the Owens a good start. The level of performer that they're putting in the Owen this year on the women's side is a good start, but like, we
And the
need
fact that they're
a more serious
they're
tournament like this for them.
they're pimping out this tournament in advance too. Like
Yeah.
they're they had Osprey declaring for it 2 weeks ago. I think
Hmm.
was it 2 weeks ago, something
Yeah,
like
it's been
that.
2 weeks. Yeah.
That is well and truly in advance.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't surprise me if some of the dynasty card is filled. Like somebody posted this on Blue Sky, and I think they might do it actually. Is have the first match of the tournament on either side, the men's and the women's, be on the show on the dynasty show.
Hmm.
Like probably a Will Ospreay match because he doesn't have one yet, and fight against probably Chris Statlander.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably whatever her first match is with whomever. Hopefully not Thunder Rosa because I want to see that further in the tournament. I don't want to see that opening it up
I'll see you in the
because I
final
want to see
round. Oh,
each one of
never
them
mind.
get
I'll
one
see you
win
in the
before.
first round. You know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see each one of them get a win first before one of them has to beat each
Yeah.
other. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. But yeah, I think they
But
need
that's
a more serious tournament for the women, like that, because I mean, last year the women's Owen was just kind of a vehicle for Mariah May and Tony Storm to have their break.
yeah.
This year there's a lot more
It
potential because there's not
feels
anything like that.
it feels like there's more gravity to both these tournaments because it's guaranteed the winners just like last year the winners get the world title shot at All In.
Mm-hmm.
But like just the people in the tournaments already, like so far what has been announced, there haven't been any people who you look at and like there's no Jeff Jarrett in this tournament. Oh,
Yeah.
he's not winning.
Yeah.
He's not advancing.
No.
There's no you know there's no Jay Lethal. There's no you know there's no obvious person who's in there
To
that's
eat
not.
pins.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're here to eat a pin.
Yeah.
You're here to put somebody over on their story on their way. They're truly making this like so far at least. I mean, we'll see on Dynamite. We don't know the whole brackets, but it seems by the people that they've announced so far that this is really going to be a pick 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially like on the women's side, it's like one of those things where it's like, I mean, on both sides, I couldn't tell you who's going to win. I can't pick it. But on the
I love that I can't tell.
Yeah, but on the women's side especially, because I mean, we're bringing in people like Athena into this. Like, there's
Yeah,
there's some real, like, uncertainty being built into that, and I enjoy that a
yeah.
lot. Um,
I mean, you could see. I mean, I could see. I mean, Monet is definitely getting to the finals
Probably.
because they're not going to waste breaking her win streak on a normal tournament match.
No.
They will wait. They will use it on the finals of the tournament, but not anywhere before then. So we know, I figured Monet is making it to the finals,
Yeah.
and given her position, She should. I imagine it's probably gonna be Monet and Athena. Whether we get the triple threat or not doesn't matter. But I feel like that's the finals that I would be comfortable in predicting. Men's side, I don't know. If Darby's in it, he's winning though.
Yeah, probably.
I'm calling it. If Darby's in it, he's winning. In fact, I wouldn't. I don't know when he's climbing Mount Everest, but if he's back, if he's back in, if he's not back in time for the tournament to start, but back in time for it to end, what I would do is I wouldn't book him for the tournament, but I would book an injury for one side and have the one finalist on one side be taken out with injury and be replaced with Darby as a surprise, and then have Darby win it.
Yeah.
And that way, he gets to face Moxley. He beats Moxley for the belt. And now that Christian Cage's contract is off the table and he can't ruin his spot, you still have challengers from the tournament already lined up. You have the guy that he beat, who felt like, oh, I wasn't prepared for this. You have the guy that whose place he took. He's like, oh, I was injured. I was never beaten in the tournament in the first place. You have two challengers right there, ready made for him. You know, with legitimate grievances.
Yeah, I think.
But anyway,
it's interesting.
That's the men's side. We weren't going to talk about the men. We were going to talk about women's wrestling for this segment.
Yeah, man, I couldn't tell you. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it might be Athena and Mercedes in the end, but I don't know how this is going to work out. If it's supposed to be like Athena and Mercedes at All In, you know. So
yeah,
we'll see how this all kind of pans out. Because
kind
of throws a wrench
imagine
what they've been telegraphing.
If it is the singles match at All In, then I imagine that Mercedes still makes it to the finals after beating Athena, and then Athena screws her in the finals.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, these tournaments, I don't think there's been much interference in them either. So it wouldn't be like old hat to do that, to have an interference finish on one of the tournaments. You can't do it on both of them. But if you do it on one of them, it wouldn't be seen as, oh, they're doing this again.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for the women's part of it. I think probably more than the men's. I know the men's is like stacked as hell, and there's no reason to not be excited about it. I am.
Yeah.
But the women's side intrigues me more because it's a little harder to call. Like Jay White's going to be in the men's side of the tournament. I'm pretty sure he's not going to win. You know. But like
Mercedes could win.
Yeah.
Anybody could win.
Yeah. But on the women's side, any of them it's even feasible that like Statlander could win it. You know, I mean, it's anybody on that side could win it.
I am going to go out and make a slightly bold prediction. We're going to see. I think we're going to see Statlander and Mercedes 3 in the tournament somewhere.
I hope so.
I think that'll be good to pop a rating because of on the strength of their last two.
Yeah.
If you have the Renegade twins there too, she can, you can still have Monet win if you want, but this time she needs outside help, which is the new wrinkle to it.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, Stat had my number and I got away with it,
Yeah.
I think we see that match, whether it's in the finals or elsewhere in the tournament. I think we see that again.
Yeah.
Because, man, how do you not?
Right. Yeah.
How do you not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, with long story made less long. Women's wrestling kicks ass.
Yeah.
And we want more of it. And if we're gonna do Evolution pay-per-views, that's fantastic. And I am not. Neither one of us is digging on that. Is dissing that idea. But let's make it a more recurring thing.
Yeah.
Shall we?
For sure. We definitely should.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for this week. Y'all have heard us talk too long.
Yeah. As usual, thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you. Keep your head up out there. Be safe, and we love you.
Love you. Peace.
Peace.